Welcome to Nick and Dave Deep Dive the Metaverse, a podcast exploring cult classics, subculture, and geek media. I'm Nick.
And I'm Dave.
And we will be your tour guides for this hot take of Adam Wingard's most recent entry in the MonsterVerse series, Godzilla vs. Kong.
Yeah, this is one that I wouldn't have seen on my own. I'm not really a monster movie guy. And so consequently, I have not seen the first three movies in this series. So I'm a cold read on this one. But
you suggested it. This was not my suggestion.
I thought that it might be fun to have you do some monster splaining, and because you're really into this stuff. I looked up some stats, and it's interesting that this thing was budgeted. They didn't actually give a straight up number, but it's between $160 and $200 million. And this is brand new, and it's already done $132 million.
Yeah, it's going
to be profitable.
It's going to be profitable, especially when you factor in the overseas market, which is kind of Legendary's big bread and butter. They're funded by Chinese money.
Yeah, this is going to do really well in China.
Yeah, and they're saying this is the movie that brought back cinema, like brought back movie theaters.
Whatever.
No, seriously, this it's the savior of the movie theaters.
Yeah, I don't believe that, but it's okay.
That's what the theaters think.
What they can say. So I was wondering when, just as I started this up on HBO Max, and I'm watching it at home. You saw it in the theaters, right?
Yes. Basically the last movie I saw in the theater was the 1962 King Kong versus Godzilla, and the first one I've seen post quarantine is this one.
So I saw it at home, and I was booting it up or whatever, and I was thinking like, oh, this is a fight movie between Godzilla and Kong. That'll be cool. Who do I like better? And then I thought, it doesn't really matter who I like better. Who does Nick like better?
That's a tough question. Yeah. I came to the realization, sometime after Kong Skull Island, that I am more connected with Kong than Godzilla.
Do you think that's because he has like human-like emotions on his face and stuff?
I think that's it. I think it's easier to connect with Kong than it is with Godzilla and his lizard face.
Yeah, I was watching the movie, and I initially just looking at the pictures, I'm like, I'm definitely all in on Godzilla. He's basically a dragon, and I like dragons, and so I'm in with him. But then as the movie progressed, I was like, I'm kind of liking Kong better. I think I switched teams. I'm on Team Kong now. It was like going from Batman to Superman.
Yeah, the same thing happened to you. You thought you knew who you liked, and then you switched sides.
Yeah,
I have to say, there was this kid at the theater, probably an 8-year-old kid in a DIY Team Kong hoodie.
Nice.
That he had handwritten Team Kong, and he drew a little Kong on it, and it was pretty awesome.
That's dope. I like it when people totally get into stuff like that.
I know. I don't do team spirit stuff. I don't participate. I have all these paleo hipster rules about not wearing the band shirt for the band you're going to go see.
Man, I don't wear the shirt, but I have a battle jacket with dozens of patches on it, and so I actually think it's cool when the band I'm seeing, I already have a patch on my jacket from that band.
Yeah. Patches get a pass because they're permanent.
Yeah.
Or semi-permanent.
Yes, that's a thing I really miss doing, is going to shows.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I used to try to go to at least once a month.
I know, and I saw bands are starting to have tour plans and stuff posted.
Yeah.
So we'll see if any of the stuff. I'm really skeptical about buying tickets for anything still.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see if things get canceled. I don't think they will if it's beyond June. I think things in July and August probably going to
think they're going to happen?
Just because of the prevalence and availability of the vaccine.
So you think it's because I've been debating getting tickets for Rose City Comic Con. Do you think that's going to happen?
When's that happening?
In September.
Oh man, let's both get tickets. Let's do it, man. We'll make a hot take episode there
of the con. Yeah,
maybe we could do some on the spot interviews with people.
That could be cool
for the podcast. That'd be cool. And anybody, cool cosplayers, minor celebrities.
Just get little sound bites. Yeah, that'd be cool.
All right. So what have you been up to?
Oh, man. I have been, and this will sound weird because it's something you assume I'm always doing, but it isn't. I've been collecting.
Yeah, I was going to say, isn't that sort of your default?
No, I kind of like lost my spark for just about anything I'm collecting. The internet has ruined collecting by making it too easy. You can
just order anything off eBay.
Yeah, anything you want, you can just get. So nothing seems important, and so you don't order anything because it's like there's nothing there. But just for instance, Walmart has the exclusive on the action figures for this movie, the Godzilla and Kong action figures.
Okay.
So I've been going to Walmart over and over again, to all of the Walmarts, like hunting for figures, and mostly turning up nothing. Like, I don't know if it's because whatever, that ship that was stuck in the canal or what's going on, but like they were not getting restocked. But I finally found like a few of the ones that I've been hunting for because I don't want all
There's
of
more
them.
than 2 figures?
Oh, gee. Yeah. It's one of those toy lines where there's only 2 characters, but there's way more than 2 figures.
Man, I want a Dr. Eric Northman figure.
Eric Northman. Is that your Skarsgård? Is that?
Yeah. That's his vampire character.
He was a vampire, not a werewolf?
Yeah, he's a vampire. He's actually the most badass vampire. He's the one that everybody likes.
Okay.
Because he's a Nordic badass, and he's a really good actor. So there you go.
Yeah. What's happened with Skarsgård's career? It hasn't really like taken off.
I haven't seen him in a minute. Like, this is the first time I even thought about Skarsgård.
Yeah. The last thing I saw him in was in Tarzan, which was another pretty big flop. Honestly, although it's not a bad movie, it just didn't do great.
Huh? Yeah, I didn't even see that because I'm not at all interested in the property.
Yeah,
it's a story we know, and it's not interesting.
yeah, I know. That's the guy that was raised by gorillas. Like I know that one.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
So that's your deal. You've been collecting.
So collecting,
just
toys?
the
Godzilla and Kong figures. That's been a big thing, and my brother-in-law, our diver number 1, Corey,
does he get it? Not one of our wives? That's tough.
They live in the house with us.
That's true. The
reason why I give it, Corey was the first like person outside the circle that I sent samples of when we started testing.
Okay.
So yeah, Corey's diver numero uno.
I consider Corey inside the circle, but I don't know about you.
He doesn't live in one of our houses.
That's true.
That's the real circle. It's like the Earth, like we learn in this movie. Our circle has many layers.
Yeah, there's an inner circle.
Yeah, and there's a hollow circle.
And that's where we live.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but anyways, Corey, he upgraded his turntable system, so
nice.
He gave me a hand-me-down, which that's underselling it because it's a really nice turntable.
Yeah, I saw the pictures you posted. Looked dope.
But yeah, so that got me into collecting records, which that's a really expensive hobby. Don't start doing that.
That's why I said you hate money.
Yeah, it's like there's this new reissue of the first Killing Joke album that I keep looking at, and it's like $45 for one record, and it's new. It's not old. But
no, you buy that, and in a year you can sell it for $80. In 2 years you can sell it for $120. But I know you'll never sell it, so it's not really. You're bad for this.
Yeah, my collection, just my modest collection right now, at the high end is I don't know if it's gauche to talk about money, but it's worth like $4,000.
That's pretty good
right now. Probably not because I've got a lot of thrift store records in there that probably aren't full value.
Is it a little beat up? Yeah,
but yeah, I was like, holy crap, this was a lot of money that I just had sitting in the back room.
And you sorted that out by Discogs.
Yes. So yeah, I'm kind of like Discogs is
It's
this
like
amazing well of information.
That's the most neckbeardy website on the whole internet. It's like it is the only website that beats Reddit for being the like haven for middle-aged dudes.
Yeah, but I don't. It's not toxic like Reddit. Like there's not like.
Well, it's because there's no venue to be toxic. It's just the people there are the most elitist dweebs of anywhere.
Yeah, that could be, but I like it there.
Of course, yeah. You can settle in.
And I like how it's sort of deliberately not user friendly. Mm-hmm. Like when you add someone to your friends, it doesn't notify them. So like I posted my handle on Instagram and I was like, no one's added me. And then someone messaged me and it's like, I added you. And it's like, oh, it doesn't show me that you added me. So I have to add you, and it won't show you that I added you. And
I was going to say that's kind of like Twitter, but Twitter does give you a notification if you get follows.
Yeah, and when you message, it doesn't make like a tidy little thread. It's a new message every time when you message with somebody.
Yeah, there's something charming about those old school websites.
Yeah, I think it's annoying, but I also I like that. I think they're just trying to make it hard to social network on it.
And that's good.
Yeah, it is. In the long run, it's good. It's just a collector site for collectors' information and buying and selling. And
they don't want it to become a lifestyle site.
Yeah, totally, because someone would ruin it.
Yeah, anything where social networking is even mildly plausible, it gets ruined. I mean, Instagram is the only reason it's not ruined is because you can only post pictures, and then the messages down below are totally ignorable and forgettable.
Yeah. Even Instagram's getting a little like less fun. Anything in the Facebook family is
when they
no
added
fun.
The Reels thing to try to be the next TikTok.
Yeah,
I was just kind of like, get this off my bar. I want to be able to get rid of that because it's all stupid videos I'm not interested in.
Yeah, pretty much. Although follow us on all these platforms, divers.
That's true.
We do want you to follow us, and we post regularly. Even though we disparage those platforms and hate them.
Here's the thing, though, divers. We hate, but we're addicted to them.
Oh, for sure.
I'm on Instagram every day. I like more than once, like all the time. I like Instagram. I like it a lot, and I'm on Twitter all the time. Although I'm sort of falling out of love with Twitter, not because.
Oh no! Do we have to change our outro?
No, I'm still on Team Twitter, but the problem is that. As far as toxic waste, that's the dump.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the most toxic social media.
Even with Trump getting banished, it's still a cesspool.
It actually swings the other way because it can be, they are the most insipid, intolerable, woker than thou cannibals. Like you can be a like dyed-in-the-wool lefty liberal, and because you're not willing to be an absolute extremist, you're the enemy, and they just shit all over everybody. And so it's like, what the actual fuck is going on? This dude's a Democrat. I mean, and he won, like Joe Biden. Yeah. And it's just like they eat their own. They're just cannibals, and so I hate it. But I still read it. Fuck.
Yeah. Well. Like Herman Melville, better a sober cannibal than a drunken Christian.
There you go.
So what have you been up to?
Not a whole lot, really. I've been trying to be outside more and more as the weather has turned.
Yeah, it's springtime and it's gorgeous in the Northwest.
Yeah, I've been mowing my lawn on my crazy lawnmower. I've been, we're getting ready to go camping this weekend. And I've just been going outside as much as possible. I work often outside, and so generally speaking, I haven't been doing anything that I don't always do, like playing World of Warcraft, working on Warhammer 40K models, reading a book, just the normal Dave stuff.
Yeah. Where are you going camping?
Out at the coast near Nehalem Bay in Oregon.
Nice. Yeah. That'll be really cool.
Taking the trailer out there, gonna chill, It's not really camping, guys.
Glamping.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that sounds good, though.
What are we drinking here? Podcast fuel.
Today, we've got two things. We'll see if we'll make it through both of them. But our first podcast fuel is the ginormous Mark 10. We've previously had the ginormous Mark 9 on our classic episode, Zen and the Art of Cyborg Maintenance.
Okay, and this is from Gigantic Brewing Company.
This is from Gigantic Brewing Company in Portland, Oregon. And this one is with Simcoe and Cascade hops. Every few months they come out with a new ginormous with a different hop varietal. And I don't know, we'll see which one sticks, but they've been all good as far as I've had.
Yeah, this is a pretty good beer. It's an Imperial, and it does kind of punch you in the mouth a little bit. It does not have the sweetness that I normally would associate with an Imperial.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's actually lighter and a little less syrupy feeling than a lot of Imperial IPAs are. So this is definitely something I will drink all of. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, and I picked this obviously because the ginormous, their mascot is like this the kind of a manga style super robot.
Yeah.
Which the super robot genre is definitely like a cousin to the kaiju genre.
Yeah, I don't want to shit all over this movie immediately, but after watching it, because it was just insanely over the top extra, I thought to myself, this made Pacific Rim feel like hard sci-fi.
That's funny. I thought this movie it feels a lot like Pacific Rim to me. I'd say it's definitely influenced by
the ocean scenes and stuff.
Yeah, and
sure.
I mean the settings, the fight in Hong Kong with the Hong Kong has that. Just I assume this is what it really looks like. That it has these cool neon lights and makes a really great setting for monster battles.
Yeah, I don't know if that's what it really looks like. But
if it doesn't, I'd be really disappointed.
I mean, it kind of looked Tokyo-ish. We've both been there.
Tokyo's not as neon as Hong Kong.
It's not as extra, but it's definitely in the specific districts. It's like that.
Totally.
All right, well then we will give this a try, and then when we crack another one, we will talk about that at the time, I guess.
Sounds good. Do you want to take our first break and get back into this?
Yeah, sounds great to me.
All right, welcome back, divers. Let's dive into Godzilla vs. Kong.
All right, so this thing kind of starts off, and it's got it's almost like this weird montage of Kong waking up from a slumber in a pristine jungle with pterodactyls flying overhead.
Yeah, I call it we see Kong going through his morning ablutions. He's just doing he has a yawn and a stretch and a butt scratch and takes a little shower.
Yeah, and I just thought to myself, who's this for? There's no plot here. It's just kind of, I guess, establishing a scene before they cut away.
Yeah. So, I listened to the novelization of the movie on Audible.
Okay.
There's 20 minutes of stuff before this scene in the book that. And those sort of movie novelizations generally are kind of based right off the script.
Sure.
Because the dialogue in the book is directly in the movie, all of it. But there's just a lot more in the book. I think somewhere in the test audience they said less people, more monsters, and they decided start the movie right here, which just cut all the establishing stuff that happens before this.
Yeah, because they kind of then cut over to a little girl walking out to greet Kong, and she's got this handmade Kong doll.
Yeah.
And it seems kind of oh, okay, this is weird. Because, I mean, I don't know what's going on. I'm is this some tribe of people or something in this savage land? Who knows? But then very quickly thereafter, you figure out this is a Truman Show.
That's what I have in my notes too. Yeah, Kong he's really agitated, and he picks up a tree and he kind of twists it into a javelin and throws it at the sun, and it busts through the holographic screen, And you see, Kong is inside of a containment unit, or a Kongtainment unit, if you prefer.
Yeah, so basically this is like some future company like Apex Cybernetics.
No, this is Monarch.
Oh man.
Okay,
There's
so
multiple companies here.
Monarch is like Shield in Marvel, except for it's exclusively about monsters.
Okay, and I guess Monarch, Monster,
Yeah.
kind of.
Sure. And the butterfly, and they've got a cool M rune logo, but
Yeah.
anyways, so Monarch, just think of them like Shield for monsters.
They're the good guys, but they have no superpowers. They're just dudes.
They just have limitless funds, it seems like, because
and we know that is a superpower.
Yeah, that's the ultimate superpower. So we're in a containment unit on Skull Island, where we last saw Kong in Kong Skull Island.
So what area of the Earth is that in?
South Pacific.
Okay.
It's southeast of Hawaii.
Gotcha. Okay. And so then it cuts over to Apex Cybernetics, which is like, it sort of becomes like a sci-fi movie, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, before we leave Skull Island, we meet one of our lead protagonists, Dr. Elaine Andrews, who's like the Jane Goodall for Kong.
I kind of felt like her role was almost marginal in the movie.
There's two sets of humans that we follow, and I just, for shorthand, I call them Team Kong and Team Godzilla, because they're the people that are associated with those monsters. So she's like the lead person in Team Kong.
So she's Team Kong, and that goes along with the doctor we meet later, and the girl, and the kids, and the podcast guy. And
no, they're Team Godzilla.
They're Team Godzilla. Okay.
Yeah, that's Team Godzilla. Yeah, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Elaine Andrews shows up, and she's sort of the adopted parent to this little girl, Gia, who's the last surviving member of the Iwi tribe, who are the native people on Skull Island.
Okay. Well, they were.
Yeah. Well, she is now.
Yeah.
She's it. And Elaine Andrews just drops a bunch of exposition on us, basically. That's her job, is to explain the movie to us.
I gotta say, that's one of the things that got old quick, was data dumps. Mm-hmm. It's like, stop trying to science this up. It's a giant fucking gorilla.
Yeah. So there's two kinds of... Let's backpedal a little bit. There's two kinds of kaiju movies. There is movies like the original 1954 Godzilla or Shin Godzilla, where these are like sci-fi horror movies where the monster is like an avatar of some sort of existential threat, right? Like the monster represents nuclear weapons or nuclear meltdown or natural disasters or alien invasion, whatever. And then there's the other kind of Godzilla movie, which is like pro wrestling.
Okay.
And all the story is just dressing to get to the wrestling match.
Yeah, this has a lot of dressing.
This is that movie. Like, you're going to get a lot of gonzo sci-fi stuff. It is all there to get us to the fights.
Okay. And there are some good fights.
Mm-hmm. So, yes, as you said, after that, the opening credits roll, and that's the montage you're talking about. And it's just like information, like visual information, like crazy. You're seeing highlights from the other movies, and you're seeing sort of like this like Pac-12 monster bracket thing going up that is leading Godzilla and Kong towards each other. It's a lot. There's a lot of stuff to dig through there, but I don't think this is the right venue for it.
Yeah, it's just not interesting.
And then we get to, the movie. It's finally a movie with a podcaster as the hero.
I know. I was thinking, like, by default, I have to root for this guy, right?
Yeah. So we meet Bernie Hayes, played by Brian Tyree Henry from Atlanta, he's a great actor. Don't judge him by what he's working with in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, he's essentially a tinfoil hat.
Yeah.
Wearing conspiracy Titan theorist.
Yeah, he's the host of a podcast called Titan Truth Podcast, and he's about to blow the lid off Apex Cybernetics. He's been undercover there as an engineer for 5 years. So he goes in, and he basically annoys this computer tech away from his console so he can get his little pocket knife thumb drive in there and start stealing the secret information. And unfortunately, Godzilla has also chosen this moment to blow the lid off Apex Cybernetics. A Godzilla attack happens.
Yeah, you get a Titan alert and a Godzilla sighting, and it actually looks pretty cool. Like the initial Godzilla sighting, I'm like, wow, this is pretty rad looking. But I did want to interject here. This is when Carrie said, "This is ridiculous," and got up and started doing other things.
Just when he's talking, or when Godzilla shows up?
When Godzilla shows up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, monsters aren't for everybody.
Yeah. I mean, she kind of stuck around for a bit, but I mean, she's a good litmus test on something, you know. Mm-hmm. So yeah, this gets nuts really quick. You get this super dope Godzilla and his lightning breath, or whatever that is.
Atomic breath.
I knew you would know specifically. I figured this is a dragon because he has a breath weapon. Mm-hmm. He does not have wings, therefore he is a lindworm.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I mean, it's possible
in D&D nomenclature.
Yeah, he could be an Oriental dragon, which can fly via magic, but they're more serpentine.
Yeah, he's not that. He's not that kind of dragon.
Yeah, this guy, he's his own kind of thing.
Yeah, and we see our villains, Walter Simmons and Rin Sarazawa. They're making their escape via helicopter from the roof of Apex. Mm-hmm. And Bernie takes this opportunity while all the chaos is going on to get down in the lower levels. And he gets he's almost nabbed by security, but he gets kind of saved by Godzilla's destructive path, and finds himself eye to eye with a big giant robot eye.
Yeah.
Bum bum bum.
What could that be? I kind of wish we had Titans in real life so that we could have mechs to fight them,
to just wreck things.
I mean, yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
And we know everywhere the Titans go, like plants, and it regrows rainforests. Like, they're good for the environment. Their destruction brings rebirth. That's been kind of a thing through these movies. So probably this piece of Pensacola, Florida, is gonna now be more Everglades or something afterwards.
Total swamp afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this was cool. The Godzilla sighting, the initial intro of him, was cool. But I mean, I don't know. I wanted to see a fight. Like,
oh man, this is the monster foreplay. We're just setting this stuff up. We don't just jump right into the fight, Dave.
They could have cut this movie down to about 60 minutes
and just had the fights
with a little bit of linkage.
Well, I think that's where we're at right now. This movie is,
but it's 2 hours.
I think this movie is edited to the minimum comprehensible level. I don't think anything would make any sense with less dialogue than it has right now.
I was going to say, you could have cut the whole podcaster plot line and all of Millie Bobby Brown's stuff, all of it.
Indiana Jones rules, where if you remove Indiana Jones from the Raiders of the Lost Ark, the entire plot happens anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, you could have just taken them out and it wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah, but I don't think Raiders of the Lost Ark would be very fun if you just watch Nazis hunting for artifacts and then getting melted. You'd need Indiana Jones to show you the story.
I don't know, I might have liked that.
I like that part too, but it's not a movie then.
All right, so what happens next?
After that, we cut to Millie Bobby Brown, Madison Russell. She's trying to be a normal teenager instead of globetrotting around the world with her eco-terrorist mother. She's not really doing great at being in school because she cuts class and goes to talk to her dad at the Monarch relief site. She's a Titan Truth listener. She has some theories about Godzilla, and her dad, Mark Russell, he's not interested. He just wants her to go back to school.
Yeah, and she says something in there. She says, like, Godzilla saved us. And I'm just thinking to myself, huh? Like, what's this? This must have been one of the previous movies.
The last two movies.
Okay.
Godzilla has essentially...
So he's a good guy.
He's beaten the bad monster.
What was he fighting before?
So in the 2014 Godzilla, directed by Gareth Edwards, he's fighting these sort of big insect things called mutos.
Okay.
The massive unidentified terrestrial organisms.
They showed up via boom tube.
No, Dave. They showed up when a mining operation disturbed their lair in the Philippines.
Gotcha. Okay, and so...
and then he's fought a whole mess of classic Godzilla monsters.
Was Mothra in there?
Yeah, and King of the Monsters. Mothra's another good Titan.
Oh,
and they call them Titans instead of Kaiju, just because Pacific Rim got to Kaiju first.
Yeah, they kind of...
And so they don't want to step on their toes, since both series are owned by the same film company.
Oh, so they're totally cool with each other. They're not competitors.
No.
They're trying to build the genre.
Exactly.
That's cool, because I liked this movie, and I liked Pacific Rim.
But the big bad of the last movie was King Ghidorah.
King Ghidorah?
Yeah, who he comes into play later on in this movie, or at least parts of him do.
Okay, you'll have to point that out.
Okay.
All right, so then we meet Eric Northman, scientist.
Yeah.
And he's a monster splainer.
He's a monster splainer. Yeah, it's Dr. Nathan Lind. I said he's an improbably handsome crackpot scientist whose brother died trying to enter the Hollow Earth. Simmons and Serizawa are two mysterious villains that we saw leave the Apex Cybernetics facility. They pay him a little visit, and they want him to lead an expedition into the Hollow Earth.
So are they paying the... They're probably not paying the estate of Jules Verne a royalty. It's probably
that's
in
public
the public domain.
baby.
Yeah. I looked it up because I was like, hold on a minute. Journey to the Center of the Earth was written in the 1800s. Mm-hmm. So this is totally just thieving. And I looked it up. It was actually 1864.
Oh, man. So, and when... You probably didn't look this up, but when did Edgar Rice Burroughs write At the Earth's Core?
I did not look that one up.
I
was looking up. I know there's also a thing that Arthur C. Clarke wrote in the early 1900s that kind of had some.
I think that's
overlap.
Is that The Lost World?
I can't remember the name.
Because The Lost World is on a plateau in South America. It's not in the center of the earth.
Oh, okay.
Pulp Fiction. I love all this shit.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Jules Verne stuff. Like, it's really, I don't know, it's classic.
I've read a lot of the Burroughs, the Pellucidar books, which is his Hollow Earth prehistoric
and
world.
when were those put out? Like 1900s?
1920s, I think. They're
okay.
like, those books are like 100 years old.
So they're like Conan era kind of?
Yeah, Conan, Tarzan. Tarzan actually went to Pellucidar. So
okay, gotcha.
And Tarzan at the Earth's Core is the name of that book.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I've been meaning to go back and deep dive the original Conan books.
We talk about wokeness. All these books, Edgar Rice Burroughs and Robert E. Howard and way, way, way H.P. Lovecraft, very, very problematic books.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I enjoy them, but they're a product of their time.
I understand that Conan is hella misogynistic. Is it also racist? You
would think it's racist now.
Oh, okay.
Conan doesn't see himself as racist.
Gotcha.
Conan is colorblind.
It's kind of like how in Lord of the Rings,
there's
the men of the East are dark skinned and evil. It's like, oh, come on, why does dark skin equal evil?
Oh, and the orcs too.
And the orcs, the darker the skin, the eviler the dude. That's a given in Tolkien's world.
Yeah. So yeah. Actually, I think Conan is in probably a woker world than Tolkien.
Earth.
Yeah, because he goes all over the place and has friends in every kingdom and everything. The kingdoms are way more multidimensional in Conan than they are in Lord of the Rings.
Huh. Well, I guess that means I should go and check it out. Anyway, back to this one.
Back to this one.
Back to classic sci-fi aside, because this is certainly science fiction. I just wanted to point that out. If anyone wasn't sure where to categorize this movie is sci-fi. It's bordering on fantasy, but it's definitely couched neatly in science fiction.
Yeah, and I had a buddy of mine said that he said the other movies he had a problem with this, that it went so hard into sci-fi because there's a major technological jump in the 3 years between the last movie and this one.
It seemed pretty advanced. Like when they get to their special airplanes, those things are dope.
Yeah, the heaves, the hollow earth aero aero vehicle. Yeah,
aerial vehicle or something.
Yeah, hollow earth aero vehicle. The heaves. We're getting way ahead of ourselves.
Sorry.
We're just getting right now. The villains are just teasing the heaves to Dr. Nathan Lind.
Yeah, because he's basically like, no, we can't go back to the center of the Earth's core. My brother was crushed. Ugh.
Yeah, which, if this had followed the script of the book, we would have seen all of that stuff because it's all in the book.
It's all in there rather than just a story.
Yeah, it's not. They were like, you know what? We don't need to see the expedition where his brother gets killed. He can just mention it offhandedly.
Yeah, but then they're like, yeah, that's because they didn't have the technology that we have. We're way ahead of everybody, dude.
Yeah.
Like it's so ridiculous.
It's like you just try to take basic helicopters into the center of the earth. It won't cut it. You have to have our special vehicles.
Did they try to take helicopters?
They like driving those Ospreys.
Oh, okay, yeah, like a VTOL plane.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
And Ospreys are not made to go into the hollow earth.
No.
So we're getting ahead of I'm getting ahead of myself here. Back to Skull Island.
Yeah, I was gonna say at this point they basically say they've got to move Kong.
Yeah, he's like, I've got a crazy plan. cut to Skull Island, and he's gonna go pitch his crazy plan to Dr. Andrews. And she doesn't think it's a good idea, but Kong has been busting up his enclosure, and they're kind of running out of time now.
Yeah, the doctor's basically like, all right, so we're going to take Kong, and we're going to take him home to the middle of the earth. And he's going to want to go because it's home. Yeah. And that's going to be helpful to us.
That's basically it. Basically, we're gonna set him on the path and then follow him down because it's a whole maze of tunnels, and we don't know how to get to the hollow earth.
Yeah, it's kind of like Bilbo following Gollum out of the mountain.
Sure, classic quest.
Yeah.
And and it's been established because again, this is the fourth movie in a 4-movie series up to this point. The monsters get all around through these tunnels. So the reason why you need someone to lead you down is, it's these tunnels snake all over the globe, so you could just get lost down there.
Yeah, and so one thing that I wasn't sure about is like, how is it possible that this one lady has the power to just snap her fingers and say, yep, that's what we're doing, and then immediately the Navy with all these battleships to escort the Kong transport and all that, it's just like one person has that kind of power just because she's the Kong Whisperer? No, that's actually the girl.
Yeah. So no, she actually doesn't have the power, and she actually could not have stopped any of this if she wanted to.
Okay.
Because essentially the government and Monarch are in tight with Apex Cybernetics because they need their super technology.
Well, we all know that big corporations run the government anyway.
Yeah. So basically, when he said we need Kong to do this, Apex already wrote the check, and this was all happening.
He was just talking to her out of courtesy.
And so to do it in the nicest way possible. So they're not, because he's the whole failed mission where his brother died, that happened on Skull Island also.
Oh, man. So he didn't want to walk up and be like, hey, listen, bitch, we already bought Kong.
Yeah. He's like, let's actually, none of this is covered in the movie. So let's expand on this stuff a little bit.
Because everyone cares. But that's what we do here.
Do you want to know
I do
why?
Want to know.
Okay. So when they did their expedition into the Hollow Earth, the failed one, where his brother died, and got him all his character development, his off-screen character development. Because you saw how Skull Island is covered in this storm that's raging, and that's destroying everything.
Sure.
That happened because when they enlarged the vortex to go into the Hollow Earth, it woke up some sort of monster bat that lived in the hole.
Okay.
And the monster bat had weather powers. And so it called...
Dope. Is he in a movie?
No, he's not in the movie. Oh, he is in a comic book, if you want to read that. There's a lot of supplementary material if you want to get into this stuff. But anyways, Kong fought the bat and killed it, but the storm stayed. He basically called in the storm that surrounds the island, and the storm has been destroying the island ever since.
All right.
And so that's why, Kong doesn't really like this guy. It's kind of hinted at a couple of times. Like, there's sort of some bad blood because he already fucked up the island.
Yeah, and it turns out Kong's pretty smart.
Kong is pretty smart. Kong is more smart than a chimp. Probably not as smart as a person, but maybe close.
Yeah, he's as smart as a dumb person.
He's smart as a dumb person, which is the highest thing an animal can achieve.
Oh, I don't know about that. But yeah, so they decide to move Kong, and they don't explain to us that this Apex had already wrote the check and this was already a done deal. It really did seem like they were asking for her approval, and when she gave the approval,
right,
boom, you're on a ship. Kong is in chains and he's tranquilized, and you have a whole flotilla of battleships surrounding him.
Yeah, and they're out in the South Pacific, headed towards Antarctica. They're trying to get to where there's another opening to the Hollow Earth. And they want to do it.
So are those like all over the world or just very specific places?
The openings to the Hollow Earth?
Yeah.
They are probably all over the world, but people don't know about all of them.
It's like those super cave in Brazil that has those billions of bats.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're places that only the monsters know about, basically, like at the bottom of the ocean and stuff like that. They're in remote locations. But yeah, so Kong is out there. He's asleep on the deck of this big ship. And then a helicopter arrives. Maya Simmons comes in to babysit the mission. And everyone has to kind of...
And she's like the mean corporate broad.
Yeah, she's the daughter of the big bad. And she's here to look tough. And everyone just sort of has to have their character dynamic establishing moments with each other.
And so is her company, are they Japanese? Are they Chinese? It's not clear where they hail from in this movie.
Apex Cybernetics is headquartered in Hong Kong.
Oh, okay, so it's a Chinese company.
But the president is doing this sort of Ricardo Montalban impression. So I don't know. I mean, he's a Latin guy. I don't know what his... Huh.
So it's a true multinational. Yeah. Gotcha.
They're headquartered... Basically... Apex sets up a office wherever Monarch has a base. Basically, they kind of they
just want to horn in.
Yeah, it's like a parasite that rides around on Monarch, and
I mean the U.S. military has companies like that
for sure. That's what Apex does, and they're big government contractors.
They have the dope tech though. They're more like SpaceX. They have all the tech.
Yeah, I almost said like evil SpaceX, but that's just real SpaceX.
I was going to say, like SpaceX.
Elon Musk said this movie is a love letter to conspiracy theorists, and he loved it.
Yeah, it's a pretty good movie. So, I mean, if you like over-the-top stuff, but we'll get to our ratings later.
So everyone does their exposition dump, information dump. Kong is getting restless out there on the deck of the ship. It's raining, and real life gorillas hate getting rained on. If you ever see a gorilla in the rain, they're just miserable.
Yeah, I don't like it either.
Yeah, and so he's just hating it out there, and he's kind of testing his chains. And our little girl Gia goes out, and she's signing to him because she's deaf. And boom, Kong signs back. Kong knows ASL, or a modified form of ASL.
Yeah, I wrote that in my notes. Kong knows ASL? And I'm just like, wow, I guess they had the wool pulled over Jane Goodall's eyes.
Yeah. So, yeah, she had been trying to teach him sign language and thought that he seemed like he was recognizing things, but he would never do it for her.
Yeah, he'd never sign back.
Yeah, but Kong is he's clever like a fox, and he's just been learning and waiting.
Yeah, and he only signs back to the girl.
Yeah, because the little girl, the Iwi people, and Kong, like, they have a very close symbiotic relationship, or they did before they all died. And so he's not just like the god, but he's like part of the tribe, and he takes care of the tribe. That's part of the deal. So she's sort of his last charge.
Interesting. So at some point we switch back over to
Back to Team Godzilla.
Where Millie Bobby Brown is looking for the podcaster. Her and her dopey ass friend.
Yeah, her buddy Josh. Josh rolls up in his brother's Hesher van blasting Judas Priest.
That van was dope.
Yeah, and Josh, played by Julian Dennison. I'm such a fan of this kid. I'll say right now, Team Godzilla, I feel like, is really underserved because they're probably the three best actors in the movie, and they get the least to work with.
I think that they do have some really fun scenes. For sure.
Like they're the more fun team, the less in danger team for the most part, with some exceptions. But Julian Dennison, if you've never seen Hunt for the Wilder People,
never saw it,
by Taika Waititi, that is a great movie, and he's a great child actor now, young man, adult actor.
Is he 18?
I don't know.
I was reading a thing the other day after this movie came out. I read an article.
He was born in 2002.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah.
I guess Millie Bobby Brown is 17.
She's 17,
and so like people are not wanting to see her as a grown person. Like it's like weird. People want to give up their child actress.
It's tough, man. Even the little girl that plays Gia in this movie, I saw an interview with her just recently, and her name's Kylie Hottle. I probably messed up that last name. But she looks like a million years older because she's like a tiny little kid in this movie, and it's been 3 years or 2 years since they filmed it. And so now she looks like a grown up because that's how kids age.
Yeah. In 2 years, they're adults.
Basically. No, it's like she went from 9 to 13 or something.
That's good math.
Anyway. but anyways, yeah, I get that because, I mean, you never watched Stranger Things, did you?
I watched the first episode and stopped.
Okay. Yeah, Millie Bobby Brown is awesome in that show, and you do sort of like imprint on her. Like, since Stranger Things came out, we haven't aged. We're the same age as we were 4 years ago.
Yeah, that's true.
Millie Bobby Brown has aged 10 years in the last 4 years, and it's disturbing. You're like, I want that little girl from Stranger Things. That's how I like her. So I get it.
That's weird.
It is weird, but, you know, children aren't real people. They're objects.
Yeah. Until they're 18, and then the creepers come out.
Oh, the creepers.
They don't wait?
They don't wait. We need to... Oh, yeah. Stay out of Millie Bobby Brown's DMs, Drake. I don't want you messaging her, you creep. Not even next year when it's okay. It's still not okay.
He could be her dad, right?
Yeah, go away, Drake. I'm going to take the hard stance. Drake needs to stay away from Millie Bobby Brown.
Stay in Canada, Drake.
That's a hot take.
Nick and Dave take a stand against Drake.
The softest rapper in the game.
That's funny.
Okay, so yes, back on track. Madison and Josh are on the hunt for Bernie. They don't know his name is Bernie. He's the Titan Truth guy. But Titan Truth, as slick as he is, he's let some things slip, and they know he lives in Chinatown.
And he bathes in bleach.
That's
harmful.
It is not good for you, but he's not taking any chances with bio tracking software or whatever he's trying to kill with the bleach.
Gotcha.
And so they go looking around Chinatown, and it doesn't take long for them to find somebody who's willing to give him up. And
for
when,
like $10.
Yeah, I know. That was like and they had to buy a live fish. It was like the weakest bribe. But yeah, his bleach dealer gives up Bernie. And when he finds out the daughter of Emma Russell is coming to see him, that opens the door because she's a famous terrorist.
Yeah. So they end up meeting up, and it's kind of like a interesting scene. Like, he's got goggles on, and he's got, he looks all weird.
Yeah, he's in a classic weirdo like apartment. It's in a sketchy neighborhood. He's got tons of junk and conspiracy boards on the wall and everything. And they go to eat in a dramatically lit noodle shop and compare notes. And we get introduced to Chekhov's whiskey flask. And they hatch a plan about breaking into Apex because he wants to tell them about the big robot eye he saw.
And we learn that Bernie is actually a sad character because he's a widower, and he's kind of doing this like, I don't know.
His wife died, and he got on this mission against Apex, and they don't really elaborate on it. It's quite a bit more elaborated on in the book.
Yeah.
His wife worked at Apex first, and then she quit and then died mysteriously in a car crash afterwards.
Ooh.
And so that is what set him on this path, because he's trying to get to the bottom of what happened. But we're trying to get to the monsters, so we're not talking about that in this movie.
Yeah, we don't care about Bernie or his dead wife.
Yeah, we just hire good actors to waste them.
Exactly. I mean, the thing is, like, with these three, I don't feel like they're big budget. Like, it wouldn't cost a lot to get them. I don't feel like it's not like you're hiring like, I don't know, a big name blockbuster person.
I think Brian Tyree Henry might have an Emmy. Actually,
like a daytime Emmy.
A daytime. Atlanta was on FX. Oh, Thank you very much.
Oh, I thought it was on the WB.
That's an old hurtful stereotype. Not all the black shows are on WB anymore.
I didn't even go there. I just thought of the lowest rent network that came to mind.
No. Atlanta's on FX. And you should watch Atlanta too, Divers. That's a good show.
I haven't seen it. Is it like Kim's Convenience?
No. Atlanta, it's Donald Glover's the lead actor on Atlanta.
Okay.
And it's like... I'm not going to be able to sum that up in like a good elevator pitch.
Who's it for fans of? For fans of what show? Like for fans of The Wire? For fans of Kim's Convenience? Like, who's it for?
Oof. Closer to The Wire than Kim's Convenience, but not really. It's not really. It's not like
for fans of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
It's not that funny. It's more real. It's more real life than funny, although it is funny.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're not selling the show at all.
I'm not. I'm just telling. There's a bunch of good people in it, like Donald Glover and Brian Tyree Henry.
It's not really funny, but
it's not a comedy. Funny. It's more like a slice of life drama show.
Okay.
About Atlanta, about living in Atlanta. With Donald Glover.
The Wire was a slice of life drama about living in Baltimore.
The Wire is a crime drama, and crime is the focal point of the show.
That's the slice of life in Baltimore.
That's all of Baltimore. Shouts to Bodymore Murderland, all the divers out there. Yeah. We'll see you soon for Blue Crab, and you can tell us where to not get shot.
Yeah, that'd be dope. Go to Baltimore. Anyway, so do you think there's like a Wire tour, like
to go to all
the places and stuff?
Oh man, that's gross though.
Is it?
Like to go to housing projects.
Well, if you go to the projects, yeah, but there's probably like if you could go to like, I guess it's all the projects.
Yeah, I mean, and you want to go like take your picture on that couch out in the middle of the projects. Be that. Oh, that's the worst. Don't be that. Don't go to the shooting locations of The Wire. That's not cool. Or go there and spend money in those communities because they need it.
I went to locations in the Dresden Files books when I was in Chicago. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's different, though.
Tourism is... There's sort of... Ghetto tourism is gross, but tourism in general is okay.
Yeah,
Use your own discretion, divers.
There's a cemetery, Graceland Cemetery, where there's like a vampire in the book, and I went to Graceland and took my picture by the tomb.
Well, that's cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, so back to this. This is going to be a long episode.
Yeah, we're taking a lot of digressions, but that's fine. We're back on the Tasman Sea. Kong's eating sashimi. Dr. Andrews is dropping exposition. And about 40 minutes in, Godzilla attacks.
Finally. It took him 40 minutes to get to the title of the movie.
Yeah. A lot of setting this up. But this is a good one, man. This is a really good fight.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is Godzilla coming out of the water where he is evidently as good at swimming as a fish. He's kind of like a gator in the water.
Oh, yeah. That's something I really, really loved in this movie is all the sort of alligator stuff that Godzilla does. He behaves very much like an alligator or some sort of crocodile.
Yeah, and
Jaws. There's a lot of tributes to Jaws in this scene, like when he hooks like an anchor chain hooks to him and it's getting pulled behind him. Mm-hmm. That's all kind of shot for shot Jaws, where Jaws has like a float or something that gets hooked onto him and you can see it pulling through the water. And all the shots of his fin and everything.
Yeah, it was very Jaws-ish. I thought this was a really cool scene, like, and I mean, basically, Godzilla just starts fucking up this flotilla of ships.
Yeah, friend of humanity no more. He just starts trashing boats.
Because I mean, we were in some of the exposition. We were told basically that like Titans get agitated by the presence of other Titans. Yeah. Otherwise, they're pretty chill.
Yeah, they spend a lot of time sleeping. But Godzilla is the alpha Titan, or he has set himself up that way.
In his opinion.
In his opinion, yeah. He has made all of the other Titans submit to him, and Kong is sort of is the lone holdout. There's no other Titans that haven't kind of bent the knee. And like Daenerys Targaryen, he demands everyone bend the knee.
And so yeah, I mean he's fucking up these ships, and basically I just thought this part was just extremely visually badass. I was really, really impressed by the scene. Mm-hmm. And then finally they decide they're gonna set Kong free.
Yeah, because Godzilla
he capsizes their ship.
He capsizes the ship, and Kong is chained up underneath. And Nathan Lind finally decides to do something, and he dives down and pulls the release, sets Kong free. The ship rights itself, which I don't think that would happen.
No. I was under the impression more that that Kong righted the ship.
Yeah, I mean,
it was kind of
charitably we could say that
Kong sort of righted the ship because, the little girl was on the ship and whatnot. Anyway, he gets free. And then they have the sickest fight on the deck of an aircraft carrier. I was like, whoa, this is disgusting. And it seemed in that moment like Kong was the alpha Titan because he whooped some ass.
Yeah, Kong definitely has moves. Like, Kong boxes. Kong
he
shoulder
punched
runs
the shit out of Godzilla. You'd think the guy with nuke breath would be like, "All right, bitch," but no. Kong just boxes his ass like a kangaroo.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. The thing about the breath attack, it's very powerful, but you have to point your face at the guy, and if he's always socking you in the mush, you have a hard time doing it.
Yeah, and so I mean, he totally lays him out, and I thought that was pretty cool. And then the fight goes into the water, and everything changes.
Yeah, and Godzilla basically just does what an alligator would do, which is grab your prey and take him down and drown him.
Yeah, if you're like, okay, Nile crocodile versus gorilla underwater, who wins? Mm-hmm. All right, that's exactly what happens.
Yeah. The gorilla. Yeah, I mean, gorillas don't even go in the water for just that reason. And so it's going bad, but the military drops depth charges, which kind of fluster Godzilla, and Kong is able to break free, and he gets up on the deck of the ship, and they cut the engines and play dead, basically, and Godzilla is like, all right, done and done.
So it seems from this scene that Godzilla is dumb and Kong is smart.
Yeah. No. Not really. Godzilla is also smarter than a crocodile. Godzilla is
He's not smarter than a T-Rex, because this worked in Jurassic Park as well.
just laying still.
Yeah.
Basically, Godzilla doesn't necessarily... You don't want to be the king of nothing, right? You want to be the king of subjects.
Oh, he doesn't want to kill Kong?
Not if he's willing to kill Kong, but if just everyone submits to him, that's ideal.
Okay. Yeah,
So,
but Kong doesn't seem to feel the same way, because he just whoops everything and kills it.
Kong is indomitable. Kong is like Rocky. Kong doesn't always win, but Kong never gives up.
Yeah, I think that Kong would die before he would submit.
Yeah, that's pretty well established.
Okay.
Later in the movie, that's basically... Anyways.
Yeah, and probably my favorite move in the whole thing was Kong's sick ass headbutt on.
When they're underwater.
Yeah,
yeah, and he donks them good. Yeah, Kong. Yeah. Like I said, Kong's got move. Kong's got hands. He throws hands at Godzilla for sure.
Yeah, I just thought that was pretty cool. And then basically they move on, and it cuts over to the other plot.
Yeah, Team Godzilla's back in Florida. They're breaking into Apex. And Madison and Bernie have become good friends. They have a secret handshake, and they slip in there. Basically, above ground, Apex is trashed. It looks like just an abandoned facility. But when they get down there to that sub-level 33, which if I would shout out every Easter egg in this movie, this is a 4-hour podcast.
Okay.
It's loaded with references. So sub-level 33, 1933 is the year the original King Kong movie came out.
Okay.
There's just millions of these things, of these little details.
That means that the movie makers of this were true lovers of the genre.
Yeah, I read an interview with Adam Wingard today, and he said he watched all of the Godzilla movies in chronological order and all of the King Kong movies in chronological order before they even started.
Wow. And yeah, this was very much, I could tell this was a labor of love for somebody. And you know what was weird? Like, I was like, man, this music, this seems so familiar. Mm-hmm. What is this? It's Junkie XL.
I know, Junkie XL is killing it.
He's everywhere.
Yeah, and he drops in little motifs, like not full songs, but little motifs from...
Like a little melody.
Yeah, from the classic Akira Ifukube scores to Godzilla movies. Like, there's a lot of love in this score, too. Not quite as much as Bear McCreary's score for Godzilla King of the Monsters, which he just basically reinterprets those old songs. But Junkie XL he's a dance music guy, so he's remixing, not
yeah. And I noticed the music, and then I went and I looked it up, and I was like, oh, okay, because I recently watched movies with this guy's music. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm totally a fan of Junkie XL now. I've gone all on board with him.
Yeah, I haven't really listened to him much.
Gonna go buy some records on Discogs.
Do they have him on vinyl?
Oh yeah, the Music Millennium has marked down the score from BVS from like 40 something down to $33. And
did he also do the Man of Steel one? Mm-hmm. Because
it's him and Hans Zimmer collaborating.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, check out our last 2 episodes. We've been going hard on some of these recent classics.
No, they're not recent classics. They're recent epics.
Yes, recent epics. Correct. Yeah, I'll take that.
All right. So basically, like, they're busting in, and they find skull crawlers.
Yeah, they get down into sub-level 33, and there's these maglev train cars loaded with skull crawler eggs. And they hide in one to not get spotted, and find themselves loaded in a hyperloop and bound for Hong Kong. Because Apex has hyperloop tunnels all over the world.
I guess if the monsters can do it, so can Apex.
Yeah, that's my... It's never explained how they bored tunnels all over the map like this. And so for my own making sense of this nonsense headcanon, I think they're using the tunnels that are pre-existing.
See, if this is sort of like fantasy SpaceX, Elon Musk has a tunnel company, the Boring Company.
Yeah, but so
this is just amped up to the next level.
But I don't think, I mean, Trump couldn't even build a wall across the Mexican border. How is Apex going to build a tunnel under Mexico that no one notices?
Well, I don't think that the competence level is comparable.
We think Director Simmons or whatever is...
Oh, yeah. Heck yeah.
He would be a better executive. Too bad he was born in a foreign country, just judging by the accent, or he'd be a better president.
Almost anyone would be. All right.
Okay.
So basically, we're
back to Team Kong.
Yeah, they go on this thing, and I'm just thinking this plot is whack. Like, these actors are good, but this plot is whack. Like, it's pointless.
Whack is not the right word.
What is the right word? Lame?
I would usually say bananas, bonkers. I use words.
Nuts.
Yeah. This is all crazy because they're moving Kong in a big hammock, being pulled by like helicopters and Osprey vehicles. This is a big homage to a scene in the original King Kong versus Godzilla where they move Kong in a very similar way with balloons and helicopters. And this is just the 2021 version of it. And I never mentioned this. So this movie takes place like in the very near future, like next year or the year after.
Man, the tech level in this movie is way higher.
You know, there's a bright light on the other side of COVID.
Oh, that's true. Once we all have 5G implanted in us, everything's good.
Yeah, on the other side, then Elon Musk is going to come out with all of these cool things that we see in this movie.
Implants and everything. All right, so
anyways, they are in Antarctica. They've moved Kong the rest of the way by helicopter-pulled hammock.
And he's doing like, at some point he does like the home sign like a bunch and it's supposed to be sad. It kind of reminded me of E.T.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, he's not cut out for this. He didn't want to be on the boat. He doesn't want to be in Antarctica. He just wants to go home.
Yeah, he does not seem happy in the cold as hell area.
Yeah. Let me catch up with my notes. Okay, we're up here. So they need to convince Kong to get them down the hole because he doesn't want to go into the cave. He's not buying it. He just wants to go home. And so they signed to him that there might be other Kongs down there. There could be more of his family.
Yeah, that's actually one thing I wasn't even sure of. Are there more Kongs? Or is Kong his name or is Kong his species?
Both. It's what everyone calls him, but it's also what we call the creature.
Okay.
Titanus Kong is the designation they give.
Oh, okay, yeah. Gotcha. So, like, are there more Kongs? Like in the
Hollow Earth?
In this
as far universe? As we know, he is the last of his kind.
But there used to be more.
There used to be more. Just like there used to be more Godzillas. There used to be just tons of everything, apparently.
Okay, but they lived inside the Earth.
In the Hollow Earth, yes.
In the Hollow Earth. Gotcha. Okay.
So anyways, that's all the incentive that Kong needs, and he takes off into the tunnel, and they take off in their heaves to follow him, and it's going very sci-fi, very fast.
These things look straight up like Star Trek shuttlecrafts.
Yeah.
There's just little pods with energy cells on the bottom and side, and they just look like Star Trek hovercrafts. And there's a whole lot of science technobabble that goes on in this thing. Like, yeah, it gets a little bit. I guess I just started ignoring it.
That's the best policy. It's just there. It is just there so you can pretend it makes sense. It doesn't have to make sense. It has to just make enough sense in the world it exists in.
And then they get to the place where the gravity reverses and Kong starts falling.
Yeah, like
because he was climbing before.
He was climbing. He was swinging along the roof, and then support gave way, and he fell down into a hole. And then he drops into the vile vortex, is what they call it in the book. And it's a gravitational anomaly where basically gravity reverses on the other side of it. And this is essentially where Dr. Lin's brother died, is passing through this vortex because his Osprey was not equipped to handle that pressure.
And boom, they show up in a jungle.
Yeah, they're in Pellucidar, or
Who knew there was a jungle inside the world?
Jules Verne. You already said
That's true.
Edgar Rice Burroughs.
This was known in the 1800s.
Yeah, there's a lot of forward-thinking writers talked about this stuff in the long ago.
And I was just like looking around. I was like, where are the other Kongs? Come on. What's going on? And then basically like Kong takes off like a bat out of hell. He's just gone.
Yeah, he goes down all fours and is doing like a full chimp run and just exploring this place. Like he's like, because basically they said Skull Island is like the Hollow Earth come up to the surface. So this very much is like home, but much bigger for him.
Yeah.
And so he just takes off, and then they get into a little trouble with these like winged serpents that they call war bats.
Huh. That's a cool name for him. I literally just called it a winged serpent.
Yeah, and Kong whips the shit out of the winged serpents. He gets a little assist from the heave vehicles. They fire some missiles, and
he like tears its head off and starts eating it.
Yeah, he's been to a crawfish boil before.
I was like, huh.
Everyone
I wonder what Kongs eat. Like, I guess they eat dragons.
Yeah. So they...
That was kind of a Quetzal sort of thing.
A Quetzalcoatl. There actually is a Titan called Quetzalcoatl that is a winged serpent, but it's, I think, a feathered serpent.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are different.
But it was huge. Like it had him fully wrapped up, and its head was as big as his head.
So, like, we want to get into a little primatology sidebar real quick.
Okay.
So
I guess we're going there.
Gorillas and orangutans have a bone ridge on the top of their skull that their jaw muscles attach to because they have these really powerful jaws that are for grinding through vegetation.
Okay.
Kong has one of those. We never see him eating vegetation at all. We only see him eating meat.
Yeah, I figured when we first met Kong that he should be a vegan.
Yeah.
But no, he's a carnivore.
Yeah, he eats a lot of protein. It doesn't really make sense for his anatomy or whatever, but if that's the thing that you bump up against in this...
Oh, God.
A sagittal crest. That's what it's called. The sagittal crest.
Oh. Like a dinosaur.
Yeah, gorillas and orangutans have them, but chimpanzees and humans do not.
Okay. So one thing that happens next is he goes to like a cliffside where there's a bunch of glowing rocks and stuff, and then and they're floating, and then he like jumps and he floats too. And I thought to myself, this is unobtainium from Avatar. They had floating rocks. They had glowing rocks. This is straight up IP theft.
I did say that they were going there to get a sample of the MacGuffin. So,
yeah,
it is very much like the unobtainium in Avatar.
It's just straight up, let's go to the pristine jungle place where we can get unobtainium.
Mm-hmm. No, that's what evil corporations do. That's what they do IRL, and that's what they do in movies.
They plunder natural places.
In IRL, it's gold and it's oil.
Rare earth minerals.
And it's rare earth minerals, yeah. In movies, it's whatever the magic power source that powers the Hollow Earth.
Man, I was wondering, like, is there a sun in the middle of the earth? Because there's light.
Mm-hmm. Now, the light comes from whatever this power source is.
Is that the core of the earth?
Yeah.
They don't explain that?
No.
Okay, because there is a sky, very clearly.
Well, kind of.
Could you see...
There's a space in between the two grounds.
So can you see the other ground from the ground?
Yeah, because he does a flipperoo right here.
Yeah, he does like a jump because he goes into the middle.
He goes up to the top of a mountain and gets to where the gravity is at its weirdy...
he jumps
its weirdest
and
point.
flies, basically.
Yeah, and then... There's like a sculpture of a giant hand on the other side, and he jumps out to reach the hand.
That was just straight up like God touching the finger of man. That was classic art.
This movie goes back and forth between, and when I'm using this word, I'm speaking about lighting and cinematography, from realistic to expressionistic. And
okay,
there's nothing realistic, but parts of the movie are filmed in a realistic style, and then parts of the movie are filmed in an expressionistic style. And Hollow Earth is very like expressionistic.
Yeah, because we got Air Kong, and he's touching the finger.
Yeah, and these like sort of hyper real, oversaturated colors. Like the Hollow Earth is a more real than real kind of place.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And so then it kind of it cuts back over to Apex. Pretty sure.
Well, we skipped over. Poor Dad Mark is back. He's back in Florida, and he gets the call that Godzilla's heading for Hong Kong.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
Oh,
and I wonder why he's heading for Hong Kong.
Yes, you're right, because Apex headquarters in Hong Kong. That's the part we did skip over it.
Yeah.
Because the Hyperloop takes Team Godzilla to Hong Kong, and they unload, and they quickly find out what the skull crawlers are being used for, because they are in some sort of big arena where Apex is testing out their Mechagodzilla. Big reveal, the surprise monster that wasn't advertised.
Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, is that a Mechagodzilla? I really hope it is. Yes, it is. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, so this was spoiled pretty heavily by the Toy Fair when people saw pictures of the action figures early on.
So this would be the toy to get. It's Mechagodzilla.
I haven't been able to find one.
Dude, do you have the rest of them? Do you have Kong and Godzilla?
I've got, for this series, I've just bought one of the bigger Kongs.
Have you been checking Walmart.com?
I want to find it, Dave. To me, it's about the hunt for the item and to find it in the store. And I found 3 of the things I want. I just have to keep trying. So I got a bigger size Kong, what they call their giant Kong.
Okay.
But there is a bigger one still that I still want.
Okay.
And then I got the Hong Kong fight scene, Godzilla and Kong, where they've got the neon colors on them.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
But no Godzillas.
No, I got Godzilla and Kong. The Hong Kong Godzilla and Kong.
Okay.
Yeah.
How big are those?
They're small, like 6-inch figures.
Okay.
Just regular action figures.
That's cool, but this would be the one that I would want. Is the
Mechagodzilla. So there is a big Mechagodzilla that I haven't seen anyone find in any of my collectors groups.
Wow.
And then there's a smaller Mechagodzilla that's in scale with the ones that I have.
Yeah.
That is out there, and it was already all gone. Like, because I got to the Walmart where I found it at, and there was empty holes on several rows in the display, and the Mechagodzillas were all gone.
Oh man!
And so then I came back for the restock, or hoping for a restock, and that whole rack was just completely empty. Everything is gone.
So what is your play if you show up to a Walmart and they've got like 7 Mechagodzillas? Do you buy one or do you buy multiple?
I'm just gonna buy one. I'm not.
You're not a toy swap meet stalker upper.
Well, R.I.P. to the guy that organized our local toy swap meet, because he's no longer with us. I have had a booth at the Vancouver toy swap meet, or whatever it was called. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of work, but it's fun. But it's, I like just buying things. I don't.
I'm with you. I like just buying things too.
It's cool selling things, but buying things is more fun.
Yeah. So we see Mechagodzilla, and I think at a certain point, this movie. Okay, so I make a sort of a meta observation about this movie after I see Mechagodzilla, and I think that it's one thing to say like a movie or a show or whatever has jumped the shark or whatever, and I think this movie began well over and beyond the shark. This movie was so beyond shark jumpy within the first 20 minutes that it was there's no shark to jump. Like if you gave me Kong surfing and jumping Godzilla, I would not be surprised. Like if he surfed on a naval vessel or something, that could happen in this movie. So basically,
it basically does happen.
Yeah, this is so far beyond shark jump. It actually has circled back around and it has gained a beard in the Riker sense, where it actually becomes cooler.
Yeah.
This movie got a beard at about this point.
You've acclimated. At first, it was hard for you to deal with the environment, but now you've gotten used to it. It's like when you go to Colorado and there's less oxygen. It takes you're sleepy, and you're like, why is it like this?
Yeah, why is it going to be horrible here?
Yeah, but then you get used to it, and you're like, Colorado's pretty cool. I like it here. It's like Portland with more sun.
Yeah, I mean, I just, at this point, I'm basically like, okay, my skepticism has completely turned the corner, and basically like, all right, I'm in. Let's do some Mechagodzilla shit.
Yeah, and so Rin Serizawa he's pulling a Pacific Rim. He's sitting inside of a giant King Ghidorah skull, and he puts on his headpiece, and he's drifting with Mechagodzilla. It's
totally Pacific Rim.
Very Pacific Rim. And we talk about expressionistic. It's very expressionistic with all the neon lights. Everything is like oversaturated and hyper real. And they release a skull crawler out of the thing, and basically he's testing out. This is the first time the full Mechagodzilla has been tested.
Yeah.
And he shreds the skull crawler. Our Team Godzilla barely make it into like an observation bunker on the floor, and he rips the skull crawler apart and fires up his beam weapon, but he can only get to 40% because they need the MacGuffin power from the Hollow Earth to get him to 100.
So one thing that you even skipped over it quickly. What was that big monster brain supercomputer thing they were using?
So that's King Ghidorah's skull.
Is that from a previous movie?
Yes.
Okay.
So King Ghidorah is a 3-headed dragon. Okay. You've probably seen it before.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
Yeah. And so the 3 heads, because the necks are so long, the 3 heads communicate telepathically with each other because there's not enough time for the signals wouldn't be able to pass down the neck and back up the other spinal cord.
Okay, gotcha.
So one skull is in the chamber or whatever where he's piloting it, and the other skull is inside of Mechagodzilla. So they've got 2 King Ghidorah skulls.
Where's the third?
The third Godzilla ate one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you got to watch Godzilla King of the Monsters. Or don't. That's my least favorite.
I'm going to not.
That's that's my least favorite of the 4 movies.
All right, so I turned the corner on this, and I think it's pretty cool. At a certain point, they cut back to Kong.
Yeah, we're back in the Hollow Earth, and Kong discovers the ancestral Kong home.
Yeah.
There's a great big door with a Kong print on it. He pushes it open. There's a Godzilla skeleton on the floor with a battle axe stuck in its head.
Yeah, I thought to myself, like, oh, shit. Kong's got a weapon, and its blade is unobtainium.
No, its blade is a Godzilla dorsal plate.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
And it's kind of glowing blue. Like,
yeah, with the radiation from Godzilla's atomic breath.
Oh, I couldn't have known that.
And there's a big Kong-sized throne, and he goes and has himself a seat in it. And he's like, yeah, this is all right. I was skeptical, but this is home. You're right. There's a Kong house here.
Yeah, and I kept waiting for more Kongs to show up because I figured if they're going to add Mechagodzilla, they're going to probably add like a Lady Kong.
Like the end of Harry and the Hendersons where all the other Sasquatch show up.
Exactly. I thought we were going to get some of that.
No, I mean, we see some other monsters, but so far no other Kongs. Like there's some crab things and a big lizard and the leaf wing pterodactyl things.
Yeah, that was pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, and then there's a bunch of weird, they call them hellhawks. These bat buzzard things that cling to the roof in the Kong house.
Yeah, I didn't really notice those much. So basically, I think like I don't know, he pulls the axe. Mm-hmm. And it's got like, it's radiated and it's all like charged up and basically it just seems cool. And I thought to myself, okay, I want him to bury this in Godzilla's skull.
Well, I mean, that's where he pulled it out of was a Godzilla skull.
Yeah, so. I want him to put it right back in.
Into the live one?
Yeah.
So we're probably going to get a chance at that here pretty soon because Godzilla arrives in Hong Kong and basically when Serizawa powers up the Mechagodzilla, that attracts Godzilla.
Yeah, because he hates Titans, and I guess he's getting the vibe off of that, monster skull thing.
Like the monsters all communicate with like whales, like with sonar to each other, or with like sonic things. And
that's how we communicate, with sonic things.
Yeah, we don't feel vibrations across the globe. Not like Titans do, Dave. So yes, this is all happening like simultaneously with what Kong is doing down in the Hollow Earth.
Yeah.
Because when Kong powers up the axe, like he puts it on the charging station and gets it juiced up, Godzilla's not happy about it.
Yeah, he's pretty pissed.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I know what that sound is. And he starts blasting a tunnel, down to the center of the earth, because that's the thing Godzilla can do.
I guess it is. Is this a thing he's done before, or is this just new for this movie?
It's new for this movie. I've never seen him do this before.
Okay.
We've definitely seen him in tunnels, or we've seen like the remnants of tunnels that you could assume that he bored out, but we've never actually seen him like blast a tunnel to the center of the earth.
Yeah, because I thought that was a little bit loco.
It's more than a little bit loco. That it makes there's a lot of times where you can hit a speed bump and be like, wait a minute, that's not very realistic.
In this movie though?
Yeah, but it's like then my mind starts thinking like, well, how could it work? What would make this make sense? How deep is the Hollow Earth? I don't know.
It's not. How thick is the world?
Yeah, I don't know. Is it really at the center? No, there's still a center. There's still a molten core to the Earth, right?
There's the core of unobtainium.
Right. So it's not all the way down. It's not like he went to the center of the Earth. He went to the hollow part of the Earth, which is not that far down there.
It's just like a donut around the middle.
Yeah. It's just so far in that we've never been there before, but it's not that far down. And you have the gravitational vortex that allows you to pass through like thousands of miles in a moment, like because time gets all screwy there. And so
I don't remember them saying time got screwy.
Oh, it's in the book.
Oh, okay, my bad.
So he just has to get to the vortex. So however deep the vortex is how deep Godzilla has to get.
I basically didn't give this much
Although then
thought.
he had to blast out on the other side of the vortex. Like he had to pass through the...
Yeah, I didn't give this any thought. I was just like, oh, he's so mad he blasts down.
Yep.
Okay.
Good enough.
Done deal.
You did better than me. I spent a lot of time puzzling this out.
And then cut to the middle of the center, the Hollow Earth. Let me get the right title. And there's a sudden but inevitable corporate betrayal.
Yeah, Maya Simmons does her inevitable heel turn, is what I put. She goes to extract a sample of unobtainium, and Dr. Emma Russell, or not Emma Russell, that's the dead lady. No, Elaine Andrews, she objects. They turn guns on Team Kong, which Kong doesn't like. Then the bats go crazy from the ceiling, and a whole kerfuffle happens.
Yeah, I mean, this was telegraphed from the beginning because, I mean, they're basically like, this lady's a bad bitch. Like, from day one. They don't even fool you by saying she has some level of humanity.
There's a weird moment where she hugs the little girl in the whole, like, fight on the aircraft carrier thing. And I thought, are they trying to say she's sort of good? But I think she just got caught up in the moment.
Are they trying to say she's a person and not a corporate show?
Yeah.
We all know that corporate shows aren't people.
They're completely one-dimensional.
Yeah. And she turns out to be one-dimensional.
Yeah. And she gets her sample, and luckily she just needs to email it back to to base. They don't actually need to have the unobtainium. They just need
like a scan of it or something.
A scan of it. They need the chemical composition of it. And then their 3D printing technology is so good, they can make one at home.
Of course.
So she just needed to bore a little sample and email it to them. And they got it. They can power Mechagodzilla up to 100.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah. But she doesn't quite make her escape. Kong squishes her heave.
Yeah, I love that when Kong grabbed their heave and just was like, Bong, just crushes it. It explodes. I'm like, all right, that's what you get.
Yeah.
Kong smokes the corporate dicks.
Yeah, he's Judge Judy and Executioner. He doesn't
Judge Judy and Executioner. Yeah, I mean he wrecked them, and then then there's like a super battle in Cyberpunk Hong Kong.
Yeah, so Godzilla's beam blasts through the floor. Kong is pissed. He wrecked his house that he just found.
He's like, "What?
This
is my house, bitch! I'm coming up."
I'm grabbing my Godzilla killing axe, and I'm gonna come up here and fight. And
so, is this axe a thing that's been in other movies or something?
This is a new invention
thing. Okay.
Yeah,
Kong using tools.
Yeah, he's used tools before, but this is the first time he had like a battle axe,
a straight up weapon. Okay.
Yeah. That's like a Godzilla femur and dorsal plate battle axe. It's pretty, and like it's Godzilla skin bound. Like it's definitely like probably culturally insensitive to Godzilla.
Oh, yeah, this is definitely.
Godzillas are very offended when they see this.
So like, yeah, he shows up and they have a battle and they start fighting. Mm-hmm. And I wrote on my notes, I said, "Why do Titans have to fight?"
It's just in them to fight. They just like fighting, and they have to establish very complicated monster hierarchies with each other. Yeah. So back in Hong Kong, Team Godzilla also gets taken captive by Apex Security while this is all going on. And
but at this point, we don't really care
about what the people are doing.
No, it's just about the monsters.
Did we ever though?
I've been saying it from the beginning. These scenes should be cut.
Then it really is just a 40-minute monster fight movie, which I would watch.
Yeah, that would be better.
Yeah, but and what we'll still continue to pay lip service to the people because Team Kong gets in their heave and pilots it through the hole up to Hong Kong also.
Yeah.
But yeah, just this awesome monster fight, and Kong actually finally wins a round in this like 3-round fight that they have with each other.
Basically like Godzilla's nuke breath is overpowered. It's just not even fair. It's too good.
Yeah.
But it turns out he can just turn the axe sideways and block it with the flat of the axe.
Yeah, because it's made out of Godzilla dorsal plate.
Yeah, so he just blocks it and he just starts winning, and he finally hits Godzilla in the head. But it's pretty clear that Godzilla's not dead.
No, they kind of knocked each other out.
Yeah, they're both fucked up, and they're in no place to fight. And I mean, basically, this scene is the first time that it really establishes that these two monsters are on the same level, fighting-wise.
Yeah, Godzilla's more powerful, but Kong is smarter, and he has like he's got adaptability options. Like he can make weapons, and he's sneakier. Because when they wake up, he's like hiding out at the top of a building, and he attacks Godzilla from behind. And the third round does not go Kong's way though. Godzilla overpowers him and dislocates his shoulder and just beats him down.
I will admit, at a certain point in this, it lingered a little too long.
You think it was too much fighting?
I pulled my phone out.
Ooh. Okay.
I mean, it's just too much. It was like, come on. I either want one of these guys to win and then fight Mechagodzilla, so it should probably be Kong, logically. Because you don't want Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. That's kind of dumb.
There's been a lot of movies called that.
Oh, okay. Well, I think Kong versus Mechagodzilla is more compelling. But
this unprecedented.
This turns out to be a tag team.
Hold on. Yeah.
I mean, this is what the whole movie's been leading to.
It's true. So Godzilla beats Kong, but Kong won't submit to him, and they yell in each other's face.
Yeah, they're like screaming at each other.
And basically Kong passes out. And right about that time, they power up Mechagodzilla to 100%, and it fries Serizawa. Mechagodzilla turns on Simmons and kills him too. And then
basically becomes free.
Yeah, and Mechagodzilla comes out, presumably running off of, I don't know, King Ghidorah's brain, because Serizawa's dead.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about that, but I just assumed it was whatever that monster brain was.
Yeah. And it comes out, and Godzilla's not in good condition to fight right now because he just had a pretty big fight.
Well, and so Mechagodzilla literally one-shots him.
Yeah, Mechagodzilla just schools Godzilla. It's rough. Poor Godzilla gets hammered.
And I was kind of, at this point in the movie, I was okay with that. I was already on Team Kong.
You like seeing Godzilla get a beat down?
Yeah.
And Mechagodzilla, he has like the rocket assisted punches and stuff, like Pacific Rim style.
Yeah.
I thought this is very Pacific Rim stuff.
Yeah, it was almost like he was a Jaeger and a monster and a kaiju. Yeah. And so basically, like, I mean, it kind of, they try to make you really feel for Kong because Kong's really not doing well. Like, his heart's slowing down.
So Team Kong goes to check on their boy, and he's slowly dying there. And Dr. Lind gets the bright idea to use the heave as a defibrillator.
Yeah, and I was just like, this is hokey as fuck. Like, they should not have done this. This is dumb.
So, in 1962, King Kong versus Godzilla, King Kong is resuscitated by lightning. Mm-hmm. This is a callback to that. So I don't disagree that. I mean, that's not even how defibrillators work. A defibrillator would stop his heart.
Yeah,
it would.
Yeah, it would have to be. It was fully stopped, and then it came.
Yeah. It is what it is.
Brought him back. But I basically thought that at this point, what I wanted to see was a 1980s style Hulk Hogan. After he's been beat down, he gets up and he kind of starts stomping his foot and gets his mojo back. Of course, the Hulkster would put his hand up to his ear, and the crowd would give him power.
Right.
I wanted something like that. I wanted Kong to find his heart, find his spirit. Like maybe the little girl could be the one who puts him over. I wanted it to be.
You didn't want the. Okay.
I wanted him to rise up on his own. I thought this was just dumb.
Because he still basically does that. Because he gets woken up when the heave goes off. He gets up. He slams his shoulder back into place like Riggs in Lethal Weapon 2.
Yeah.
Gets his axe. And at the last second, right before Mechagodzilla kind of finishes off Godzilla, Kong gets involved. And they tag team.
Saves Godzilla.
Yeah, and Godzilla has to do kind of a double take, like, oh, is that what's happening? But it's funny you mentioned Hulk Hogan, because that's what I thought of too. This is like when Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage became the Superpowers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and they're the ultimate tag team.
Oh, yeah, brother.
Yeah, so you said Kong is Hulk Hogan, I guess. And so that makes Godzilla Randy Savage.
I mean, I was all for the superpowers. When I was a kid, like a little boy in the 80s, like watching, I remember to this day, it was on at 11 a.m. on Channel 12.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And you can't forget that.
On Saturday, you mean, right?
Saturday morning, yeah. I was all about it. My sister could have the TV all the way up until 11, and then it's all me.
Yeah. So that's totally, this is, I said this is one of those where it's a pro wrestling movie, and this is the Superpowers tag team. And they just take Mechagodzilla apart. Kong Godzilla charges up the axe for Kong like they do a team-up move.
Oh, yeah, that was the shit.
And then Kong just dismantles Mechagodzilla and gets to hold the head up and really gets his hero movement.
Yeah, and so basically they're wrecking house on him, and they cut over to Team Godzilla, and they're trying to, like, hack the Mechagodzilla pilot. And they're doing more shit that could have been cut from the movie.
Yeah, well, because it absolutely does nothing. So there's a moment
pointless.
When I said that, they had Chekhov's whiskey flask. Bernie gets out his whiskey flask because when he empties this, that means he's given up hope. And Josh takes it and he dumps it on the console and fries the console. And they're like, "Did it? We depowered Mechagodzilla." No, you didn't. Mechagodzilla continued fighting out there.
Yeah, I mean, it was the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
You can remove Indiana Jones from the movie, and the movie just keeps going.
These kids were Indiana Jones.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's not to say I didn't like the characters. I actually quite grew to like them. Especially, I like the idea of a podcaster protagonist.
And he's a grown man with these two kids. It's pretty hilarious.
And I mean, basically, I just thought it was just a good fight. It was really fun. And then we're like, oh, they tore the head off, and that must be Kong's finishing move because he did it to that winged serpent too.
Yeah,
that's his thing.
Kong, he removes the head. That's what he does.
And the podcaster starts already trying to get an interview with somebody.
Yeah. So basically, Team Kong and Team Godzilla both show up at the Monarch Relief Station. And Madison goes to talk to her dad, and Bernie does try to gets him to be a guest on the podcast. And I was like, yeah, shoot your shot. When you, give it I just saved your daughter's life, supposedly. Come be on my podcast. And this is the only time in the whole movie where the whole human cast is in one shot together.
Wow. I wonder if they were actually in the same place at the same time, or if this was digitally put together.
They filmed most of it, or maybe all of it, pre-pandemic. So I bet they were all there. Yeah.
And so then you think, oh, the movie's over. Kong's hurt. He's in no shape to fight. And it's basically like him and Godzilla are, you're like, oh, are they going to fight now? And then like they do Step Brothers. Are we best friends now?
I don't think they're best friends. They kind of, I say they establish a power sharing agreement.
I like mine better.
You're like, Superman and Batman became best friends. Godzilla and Kong.
Did they become best friends?
Pretty much.
I think if there were any friends there,
buddies.
it was Wonder Woman and Alfred became best friends.
That's a whole great movie.
That would be a better movie.
I'd like to see them just drinking tea and reading the newspaper and occasionally trading sections and talking about interesting articles with each other.
Yeah, that would be really good.
But yeah, so Kong puts down the axe and Godzilla goes back into the sea, and essentially that's the end of the movie. We get an epilogue where we see that they set up a Kong monitoring site in Hollow Earth.
Yeah, the Hollow Earth monitoring station.
And we get to see Kong trucking around the Hollow Earth and just loving life down there. Kong is the king of Hollow Earth. Godzilla is the king of regular Earth. And
rip Mechagodzilla.
Yeah, and maybe this is the end of the Monsterverse.
Do you think there's going to be more movies? I mean,
this movie's doing really well, so
they'll do more movies.
But this is the end of the contract between.
Has there already been like a Mothra thing?
Mothra was in Godzilla King of the Monsters.
Gamera?
No, see, there hasn't. Let's hold on to some of this speculation for our final thoughts.
Okay. Well, I mean, we're almost there. I guess this is where I ask you, what worked for you and what were your personal highlights?
Oh, geez. There's a lot of them.
Let's keep it short.
The Junkie XL score, which we already touched on, is great. Any of the places, like the neon light stuff, like I'm super into those visuals, like the Hong Kong and the Apex Labs.
It was like cyberpunk.
Yeah, that stuff's all really cool, and I really like that. These fights, I'll probably watch these fights on YouTube for the rest of my life. Like,
wow. Is this the best kaiju fighting of any movie of all time?
Yeah, probably. This is probably the best like monster fight action I've ever seen.
Okay. Better than like Rampage.
Rampage is that's a pretty fun movie. Technically, we get into the weeds a little bit. So the Japanese title of Rampage is something like Rampage Giant Beast Battle or something like that. And they use the word Kyoju instead of the word Kaiju.
Oh.
So the monsters, they're not monsters.
They're not as big.
They're giant animals.
Oh, okay.
Like George is a gorilla and Kong is a Kong, whatever a Kong is.
Gotcha. Okay, I didn't know that there was a distinction.
There is a distinction.
I guess you monster nerds are very
nuanced. It goes deep. It goes really deep.
It's too late in my life to get into this.
To learn about monsters.
I couldn't get into this if I tried.
And that's even, I think even in Japanese, that's an obscure word. Like, if you said it to someone, they'd be like, what kanji does that use? But yeah, it's better. Yeah, better. I think there's better fighting in this than Rampage. Although Rampage is a pretty cool looking movie.
Okay,
it's even dumber than this one. If you haven't seen it,
I haven't. I won't.
But it's dumber, but it's just as fun.
Okay. All right. So
yes, the monster fights are incredible, and this is a great cast. They don't have a lot to work with, but there's a lot of actors in this movie that I'm like, oh, I love that guy. I love that guy.
Jack Black should have been in this.
See, you have seen the Peter Jackson King Kong. I'm sure.
I think I probably have.
Yeah.
With the funny guy. I can't remember the comedian's name. Anyway,
Jack Black.
So what are the rest of your personal highlights? The scenes, the score, the actors. The fight scenes.
Scenes, yeah. Yeah, I mean that's really, I like there's some cool additions to the mythology, like the Kong axe and that stuff. But I think that really does, the fights really are the highlight of the movie.
Yeah.
This is like something I've wanted to see since 1987. Okay. And it mostly lives up to my expectations.
So my personal highlights and what worked for me is first and foremost the monster fight scenes. Mm-hmm. I thought in particular the first one where they're fighting on the aircraft carrier out in the ocean. Yeah. That was ridiculously good. That was sick. I really liked that one. I also really liked the Mecha Godzilla fight, the tag team, when the superpowers collide, brother. Yeah, those were really good. I thought those were fun. They were entertaining. Then I also thought that they made Kong really relatable, and I would argue that Kong is the hero of this movie.
Absolutely.
And I think that he makes a pretty good hero, and he's kind of like Godzilla's the villain, Kong's the hero, and then it turns out there's a bigger villain, and so the villain has to turn and help. He's redeemed. He pulls a Darth Vader. Yeah. And he becomes Anakin again. Anyway, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention Junkie XL. And also, I particularly thought of all the actors and actresses in this movie, the one that was the most convincing and delivered their lines the very best was Millie Bobby Brown.
She's a powerhouse.
I think she was probably the best. The best performance in the movie was her. That's it. That's what I got. And I would say that's pretty similar to your list.
Yeah. So what didn't work for you? I mean, I think we know where we're headed. But.
Oof. The mumbo jumbo science nonsense and the fact that they just never fucking stop with it. It's like you already gave us 1,000 establishing shots and conversations and stuff. It's just like, stop it. Nobody cares. This is garbage. Just get rid of this. And then I wasn't really overly interested or compelled by almost any of the characters. Really, the podcast crew, they were the only characters that had a story arc that I thought was at all interesting. But it turned out that it was a completely irrelevant arc because it made no difference on the plot. It could have been deleted and the movie would have been the same. And that's sad. I thought that the fact that those were the characters that were the most interesting and relatable, but they were essentially marginalized in the plot, that's poor writing, because either you include them and make the plot intertwine with the other plots, or don't include them. It just doesn't make sense. And I got to say, there were parts in this movie, it did not need to be 2 hours long. I reached for the phone. It could have been, this actually could have been a snappy 85 minutes. And I don't think anyone would have cared. It's a monster movie. They're not going to be like, it's not long enough. No, you get with the monsters, get rid of the people. I don't need an in-depth university scene with a washed-up professor talking about, the 35 cases of his book left in his garage, etc. Simply don't care.
And you cared enough to remember the detail.
It just stuck in my head. I mean, I just watched this 2 days ago. And so basically, I just thought that this movie was, the writing was lazy. And I think that they should have stuck to what they do well and cut the rest. So what about you? What didn't work?
I'm going to do a variation on what you said. It strikes me as very weird that we have essentially two human casts in this movie that never interact with each other, even to the point when they all are together, like in a scene together, they don't, their stories do not touch, other than that they both end up in the same city at the same time. And I don't know if lazy is the right word, but it's weird, and it's not great storytelling, bad storytelling. It's just sort of, it's one of those things that's like, that's just really weird. Yeah. And so I butt up against that. And I don't think you could cut much more out of it and have it be coherent at all. I think the criticism would be, I don't know what was going on in this movie. If you took out
monsters are fighting, that's what's going on.
Yeah, but I think that's a really tough line to walk, where you're trying to get the bare minimum human story to facilitate the monsters fighting. And I do think they hit that line. But I understand your position there. But I do think it is really strange and bad storytelling that the two stories have nothing to do with each other.
Yeah, it's really odd.
So that I butted up against that, and I butted up against Godzilla boring a hole to the center of the earth. I know you just...
That's okay, but the axe is not?
No.
Or that's not okay, but the Kong axe is okay?
The Kong axe makes sense to me. Like, he has an axe that's made out of a Godzilla dorsal plate, so it obviously can absorb Godzilla's radiation. That makes total sense. Okay. That's just good science. But how far is it to the Hollow Earth? And how can Godzilla look in the hole and Kong can look in the hole on the other side? But we know there's a gravitational anomaly in the middle. That doesn't make sense.
It's not a visual anomaly. No?
It is a visual anomaly, because we see them, they fly through it, and it does a whole 2001 Space Odyssey thing when they pass through it. So they couldn't see each other. Okay. I don't want to get too hot about this because it's a little detail, and it doesn't matter. You just needed to get Kong to Hong Kong. I get that. And you couldn't put him in another helicopter hammock. So there had to be a different way for him to get there. But I just thought that part was goofy. So those are the things that didn't work for me. But ultimately, they're small things.
Okay. So what are your final thoughts and your star rating on this movie?
So final thoughts. I have a tattoo of Godzilla and of King Kong, so I'm not going to even pretend to be objective or unbiased in this.
Okay.
This is a movie that I have wanted to see since I was a little kid.
Okay.
I've always wanted to see that fight, but with modern special effects. And what that looked like in 1987, when I first saw King Kong versus Godzilla, is very different than what it looks like now. So it exceeds the expectations I had as a little kid. Before I give my rating, I want to ask, do you think I was too generous in my rating of The Lost Boys?
What did you rate it?
I gave it a 3.75.
I don't know. I think...
Because I rated that I valued it as in the school of teen monster movies, which I thought it was a really good example.
So I actually have you on file here as rating it as a 4, and I rated it as 3.25. So I guess I do think you overrated it.
Okay.
And obviously I agree with my rating.
So with that in mind, I'll dial it back from where my heart would land this.
5, right?
No, not a 5. But
it's not the perfect movie?
Oh, jeez, no. Again, I don't think Godzilla can bore a hole to the center of the earth.
That's the one flaw.
I just don't think that works.
Okay.
I'm going to call it a 3.25.
Okay.
Which is a strong qualified recommendation, because this movie is not for everybody.
Yeah.
But for the people that it's for, like for that kid in the DIY Team Kong hoodie, yes, this is the greatest movie he's ever seen, and he'll watch it 100 more times before he dies.
Okay.
And probably I will too. I'm going to watch this movie a bunch. I've already seen it twice.
Wow.
So
yeah, I mean, twice.
I always watch these movies twice. The movies that we deep dive.
Yeah.
So anyways, what about you?
So my final thoughts are that this was a visual spectacle. Mm-hmm. It was pretty cool. Everybody knows. I mean, you can't not know. It's global culture, media culture, pop culture to know about Godzilla and King Kong. Mm-hmm. And so I pretty much knew what to expect. The Mechagodzilla thing threw a wrench at it, and of course there was a couple new developments like the axe and all of that, and I thought that stuff was pretty cool. There was a lot of really, really boring parts to the movie that were just total yawners, and like you could just look away and wait for something interesting to happen. But I will say that those fights and the kind of the second half of the movie was a lot more compelling than the first 40 minutes. The first 40 minutes was just a slog. And so it's really hard for me to give it a very good rating. But I also think it's not fair to try to put this in like an art house category. This isn't trying to be high cinema. This is a monster flick. And it's a damn good monster flick. I enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it as much as Pacific Rim, but
I said this, I don't know, a couple episodes ago, whenever that came up, I do still think that's probably the best example of a modern kaiju movie, like American-made kaiju movie.
And so I really liked this. I can't recommend it to the general public. Mm-hmm. This is really only for enthusiasts. So I'm giving it 3 stars, and I consider that to be probably a quarter star too generous. Okay. I probably should go 2 3/4, but I'm going to give it 3 because I would say that this, having now talked about it with you, this would be the quintessential Godzilla and or King Kong movie. If you're at all casually interested in this world, watch this movie. It'll be cool in parts, boring in parts, and ultimately it's a qualified recommend. I wouldn't say the general public should just run out to it, but the box office numbers disagree with me.
Yeah, the general public is running out and seeing this movie.
But this is no Man of Steel.
Do you have like the Metacritic and the Rotten Tomatoes?
I do. I pulled that up.
Well, why don't you compare them to Man of Steel? Because I bet it's pretty close.
So we got IMDb is 6.6 out of 10.
Okay, so it's come down a little bit. It was in the 7s.
75% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, sorry, that's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah, and then Metacritic 59%.
Ooh.
They're
not loving it.
They shit on it. And so let's see what that other one was. I mean, I don't entirely disagree, but if we're talking Man of Steel, it's got 7 out of 10 on IMDb, so it's higher. It's got only 56 on Rotten Tomatoes and 55 on Metacritic, so it's a little lower. But these are in the same caliber according to I would say average-wise, but really I gave Man of Steel a 3.5 and this one a 3. So it's not like a dramatic difference.
Yeah.
I just think that more just rando people would enjoy Man of Steel than would enjoy this.
I don't think you're wrong.
This is 2 hours and there's not much human drama, and Man of Steel is like 2 hours of all human drama plus some fights. Anyway, so I think we both gave it fair ratings. I really expected you to give this like a 3 3/4 or 4 even, because it's sort of kind of the quintessential movie for the genre.
Yeah, but I mean, there's just better movies in the genre.
Okay.
I think. I mean, just in the 4 MonsterVerse movies, it's my third favorite of the 4 movies.
Wow. Okay, so what's the first favorite?
Kong Skull Island is my favorite of the 4.
What's the second?
Godzilla.
Okay, so those two, the standalones, are better than the versus movie.
Yeah, because I think they have a more coherent storyline because they're not 2 parallel stories that don't ever touch each other.
Where do you rate that one Godzilla movie that came out in like 2000-ish, where Godzilla's like rampaging through New York?
Oh, the 98 Godzilla?
Yeah. Where'd you rate that? I saw that in the theater.
Yeah, so did I. Lisa said, it took me a long time to understand why you were so upset by that movie. It's weird because I think that that's a perfectly fine monster movie. I think it's enjoyable to watch.
Yeah.
So just like straight up, like it's probably like a 3.25 or a 3.5.
Huh.
But as a Godzilla movie, because it bears no resemblance at all to Godzilla, and it is nothing like a Godzilla movie, it just doesn't rate at all.
They really could have named that movie T-Rex in New York.
Yeah. Or the giant iguana that attacked New York. Yeah.
You know what I remember most about that movie, not to digress too far, is not the movie, but the ads for Mountain
Taco
Dew
Bell?
and Doritos and Taco Bell. Like, they licensed the shit out of that.
Oh, yeah. Frito-Lay definitely put a lot of money into that campaign.
That was crazy.
I still have my drink topper from Taco Bell.
Oh, nice.
It's like tangent. So that monster is affectionately known as Zilla.
Oh, okay.
And derisively known as Gino in the fan community. And so there is I've come to appreciate Zilla, like that creature. I think it's a pretty cool monster, but I've never gotten over just that they tried to pass it off as Godzilla.
Godzilla.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess with our ratings done, that's a wrap on Godzilla versus Kong.
All right. Welcome back, divers. We just cracked our second podcast fuel for the evening, and it is Avid Cider Company Dragon Fruit Cider.
Yeah, this is really juicy. I don't know. I've had a lot of ciders over the years, and I've never really been a huge fan because normally it just tastes like rotten apples.
Yeah, so this one, their dragon fruit cider, they don't bury the lead. It's got, as well as rotten apples, it also has raspberries and dragon fruit.
Yeah, actually, it tastes really good. This is much better than most ciders. It's actually of the sweet variety, not the dry variety.
It's an off dry. So so this is not sweet, which is going to be more like that treetop apple juice, like that Red's apple ale.
Like the Angry Orchard.
Yeah, those are sweet ciders. This is something that a grown-up man can drink.
Yeah, it is a little dry.
I shouldn't have gendered that. That's really offensive.
A grown-up human can
drink. A grown-up human of any gender can drink.
What about a grown-up Kong?
I would be shocked if Kong didn't like to drink cider. He's a giant chimp.
Yeah, he's actually seems like an amalgam of a chimp and a gorilla.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out the ratios because that's the sort of stuff I spend my time thinking about.
Yeah.
And I was like, he's sort of 60% chimp and 40% gorilla and 10% human, because there's no apes with legs that long. His proportions just aren't ape like. They're ape like, but they're not like any ape.
Yeah, his arms should be longer than his legs.
Yeah, and they are, but they should be much longer than his legs.
Yeah.
But anyways, this is good. I like this, and it's got these kind of 2 serpentine dragons on it that reminded me of King Ghidorah, and so that's why I picked this.
That's a pretty cool logo, actually, or pretty cool label, I should say.
Mm-hmm. So we've come to that part of the podcast where I ask you, what are you into right now?
All right. Well, I bet you can probably predict what I'm going to say for this one because I posted about it several times on socials.
Oh, yes, I can.
Yeah,
Okay, I know what you're going to say.
I've been playing disc golf like constantly. And
How much have you been playing? How often a week do you play it?
3 times, 4 times, every other day.
Wow.
Including watching YouTube videos
Oh,
all the
man.
time about it. I've watched a ton of professional events like last year's World Championships, the U.S. Disc Golf Championships, both the men and the female division. I have favorite pros that I follow on socials.
Wow. You're getting deep on this.
I have a favorite disc company.
Have
which
you
is Innova.
been doing this enough now that you get your panties in a bunch when someone calls it a frisbee?
No, frisbee is fine.
Okay.
You can call it frisbee.
Okay, so you haven't been lost
Well,
yet.
even the pros call it that. It's fine. It's accepted in the community to call it a frisbee because it actually, if you do the research, excuse me while I push up my glasses.
Yeah.
The person who invented the frisbee for Whammo, the toy company, they actually invented disc golf as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So this is not a different thing.
Okay.
So it is a frisbee. It's just we play with smaller frisbees that are flatter and they're not as much for gliding. They're more for direct shots or distance.
Mm-hmm. No, I've only done it once, and I was surprised to discover that there is a whole assortment of discs.
Yeah.
And they're all named after different golf clubs. Is that accurate?
Well, I mean, there's categories. There's putters, which are the ones for short.
Right.
There's what you'd call a mid-range disc. And I guess in the putter category, there's also, they call it like putt and approach, which means it's going to be a putter with a little more glide on it. So you can do long putts. And then there's a mid-range disc, and then, which is sort of where your like irons would be, or maybe a pitching wedge. And then there's fairway drivers, that's just straight up a golf club. And then there's distance drivers, which also golf club. And so there's all these different categories of discs, and discs actually have ratings on them. So like they actually have numbers on the disc that it's like 4 numbers. Some companies add a 5th number.
Okay.
But it's basically like how fast can you throw? Does it fly? How much glide does it have, which is sort of like how flat is it or how domed is it? Because more domed means more glide.
Yeah, because you get more lift.
Yeah, okay. and then there's turn, which is generally if it's gonna go right. If you're a right-hander throwing backhand, will it go right? And then there's fade. How much does it go left? Which are also known as understable and stable.
Okay.
But basically,
because they're kind of weighted one side or the other.
No, it's more like the shape of the bottom of the brim and the nose.
Okay.
They're all symmetrical. And so basically it will change how the aerodynamics of it works, so how it flies. And ultimately, the numbers mean the most when you throw it really hard and spin it really fast, because that's when its flight characteristics are really the most evident. I'm not actually that good of a speed or strength thrower because I'm a novice. But yeah, anyway, I've been really into it. Obviously, I've got a lot of discs. Carrie's got a lot of discs. We have a course here near the house, 3 miles away. We've played that several times. We've also gone out to a football field and thrown for distance just to get in practice to see how far we can throw it and keep it straight down the middle. Or do curves like a hyzer and anhyzer, or try like spike shots and things like that. And so I've just really been getting into it because I like athletic things. I do the sword fighting thing. I've always been into kind of nerdy athletic pursuits, I guess. And this is actually really deep. I have several friends that play it. obviously shout out to the Humphreys, but also some of my friends from the SCA are also into disc golf, and so I've been talking to lots of people. I've got some disc golf meetups planned with different people. And it's just a super fun sport that you can either play super casually, like if you and Lisa wanted to come out with us, we have extra discs, or you can get super deep into it, and it actually there's pro level events, and it's pretty cool because like I'm not even at this level where I would consider it, but if you get pretty into it, anybody can join the Professional Disc Golfing Association.
Oh, interesting.
And then when you input your scores from different clubs or different courses and whatnot, you actually get a PDGA rating. And then you can enter events like regional events as like C tier events, B tier events, A tier events, and you can go and play, and there's leagues, and it's a pretty popular game, believe it or not.
No, you see that there's sort of like a little Triskel emblem that represents disc golf, right? That you see on people's cars.
Like the tri-scale thing? Like, are you talking about? I'm not sure what exactly.
It's just like a symbol that I see that I'm under the impression means disc golf, but maybe it means something else.
Maybe you're talking about the Harry Potter
I don't
triangle
think
symbol.
I don't think so.
There's a lot of people that play disc golf because when this course opened up, even in the week before our local course opened up, it was swarmed with players. And now that it's open and it's not even completely done, they haven't even poured the concrete tees yet. It's hopping at all given times.
Yeah, anywhere there's a disc golf course, you see people playing it. Like it's always, I mean, I've only done it the one time, so obviously it didn't like set my pants on fire, but I did enjoy it, and I get the appeal, and I enjoyed strolling around and throwing the disc. It's a good time.
Yeah, you get a lot of exercise. Like, I'm always trying to find something that I enjoy that's exercise, because I don't like going to gyms and stuff. Who does? I mean, there are psychos that really like it.
Love the gym, yeah.
Yeah, I don't. So if I can find a fun activity that I can obsess about, and I mean, Carrie took it to the next level.
Yeah, that's how Carrie rolls, though.
Yeah, she's actually,
she's like, why dabble?
Yeah, that's true. She does not dabble. The thing is the term half-ass was invented because Carrie goes whole ass.
I don't know what I said, but she was like, that's dabbling. And I was like, yeah, I dabble in everything. And it was like, she was just like, ugh.
Yeah, she bought us an MVP disc golf pro pro basket. So we now have,
so you can practice.
We
at
have
home?
a full we have a basket that I'm going to be setting up so that we can practice putting at home.
See, but then
and we have a pretty
the
big
disc
parcel
golfers
here.
will just show up in your yard now. Like it's like putting out a salt lick for the deer. When people see those baskets, they'll come in their Subarus.
The row.
Yeah, they'll be out there.
Subarus.
I know. Have you? You're wearing cargo shorts. Are you going to get Tiva sandals and a poncho hoodie too?
You know what I was doing until 5 when I said we were going to meet up to podcast?
Disc golfing.
Disc golfing.
Yeah. That's fine. That's not an embarrassing thing to be doing.
I mean, because earlier today I told Nick, hey man, I'm doing something until 5.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, okay, I'll arrive. And I was disc golfing.
Like when the cop asks Homer is where you're coming from, he said, I'm coming from Moe's. He's like, what's Moe's? Don't tell him it's a bar. It's a pornography store. I was buying pornography.
Oh man, yeah. So it's funny because I'm all in on Innova discs. I really like them, and then but Carrie, she really likes her. I believe she's using Westside discs mostly. No. I'm my bad. She's using Dynamic discs.
Dynamic discs.
Which Westside is another company that's made by Dynamic.
Oh, a subsidiary.
Yeah, there's a few companies like that.
Interesting.
The big 3 are like Dynamic, Discraft, and Innova. But there's like a ton of little discs. But I could go on and on about it. I'm sure if you divers are interested in disc golfing and you are also like a James Conrad fan or a Paige Pierce fan like I am, you can hit me up on Twitter and I'd be happy to chat it up with you. But I'm curious what you've been into, what are you into right now?
So what I'm into right now, as we're recording these, like, it feels like in pretty rapid succession. I don't feel like I have time to get into new things in between episodes. But something that's fairly recent that we haven't talked about yet on the podcast that I am into because I was already a fan of it is Invincible by Robert Kirkman and Corey Walker.
I've been watching that too.
Yeah, so it's just the 3 episodes, right? Or is there a 4th one out? There's a 4th one out. I haven't watched the 4th one yet.
Actually, I thought the 4th one came out tomorrow. Anyway.
I think, 4th or 5th episode comes out tomorrow for us. It came out in the past.
There is a 4th one, and I did watch it.
Oh, man, you're one ahead of me. Man, I read all the comics.
Are you trying to just trump me right now?
I didn't read all of them. I read like 100 issues.
That'll do.
That's a lot. I'll make it several seasons. But anyways, so yes, Invincible, created by Robert Kirkman, who's the creator of The Walking Dead, with Corey Walker was the penciler on the initial run of the series. And he came back to do kind of new versions of the character designs for all the characters for this animated series.
Cool.
And it's on Amazon Prime, and it's got just an incredible loaded voice cast.
Yeah.
And if you're not familiar with Invincible, I'll do a better job of preparing you for the ultraviolence than I did for my poor wife, because she was legit disturbed when heads started popping and stuff, because it is hyper violent.
But the thing is, it's not like always hyper violent. It seems mostly low key, and then just boom, random super violence.
Yeah, because it's like it's on some level it's just teen drama. This could be one of those CW superhero shows.
Oh yeah.
But when an alien zaps you with his laser gun, it blows your freaking arm off, and there's blood and viscera everywhere. It's very graphic. And then it goes back to teen drama.
Yeah.
Like,
do you have a favorite character besides Invincible?
Besides Invincible?
Because that's the kid's superhero name.
So Invincible, Mark Grayson, played by Stephen Yeun, also from The Walking Dead.
Yeah. Super cool character.
Jeez. I really like Monster Girl. That's too predictable for me, though.
Oh, that's so predictable. Jeez.
But the whole teen team, who most of them get upgraded to become the Guardians of the Globe when mysteriously their Justice League analogs, the Guardians of the Globe, all get mysteriously murdered in episode 1. We won't spoil that for you.
I mean, Rexplosion is hilarious and so
Rexplode,
stupid.
right?
Rexplode, yeah.
Yeah, Jason Mantzoukas plays Rexplode, and I never loved the character in the comics, but Jason Mantzoukas I like so much that it elevates.
Recently I binged all of Big Mouth, and he's in that, and he's really good. But I actually became a fan of his from The League that he plays in, and he's hilarious in that show.
I really like Alan the Alien, played by Seth Rogen. He's only showed up one time, but he's an ongoing character.
Is he like the auditor guy?
Yeah, he's the guy that audits planets to make sure they're up to snuff for galactic threats.
Am I lame and predictable for saying that my favorite is Omni-Man?
No, I mean, I honestly, because it's new, so I don't want to spoil this. Omni-Man is a much more complicated character than he seems on the surface, which would be Superman with a mustache.
Yeah. He seems like Superman with a big, broom mustache.
Yeah, but Omni-Man, I compare him to Jaime Lannister.
Yep. That's why Jaime's my favorite Game of Thrones character.
Omni-Man seems... Yeah, he's complicated. Yeah, and Kirkman uses a lot of the same tools as George R.R. Martin, in that no one's safe.
In that he's an excellent author.
He's an excellent writer. He's a little meandering and gets bored after a point. and loses track of his story.
That's okay.
But we're at the beginning now. We're in A Song of Ice and Fire. We're not.
Yeah, we're not 6 books deep. I mean, like, because this is super fucking good.
Yeah. No, I liked this series for a long time, and I think it, I think if you look at the whole series of Invincible, the comics, it is a really great modern superhero epic. There was a point where it kind of lost me, but I've always meant to get back and power through that lull and get to the later stuff because it looked really good.
I wish the art. My only complaint is that I wish the art and animation was a little more polished. It feels really gritty and like very simplistic, almost on purpose.
Yeah, so I have it in my notes to big up both these. One, Cory Walker, who's the character designer and the original artist on the series. I think he's one of the best character designers in comics, period. As far as like his eye for like visual aesthetics for superhero costumes and just like all the little details that make a world look real. I think Cory Walker is excellent at that. And then Maven Image Platform is the Korean animation house that is animating this. And as like a big fan of animation, I see the budget cuts, like the cheapness in places here and there. But I think this looks really slick for what I think they spent on it. And Maven does a lot of the DC animation too, which I think helps them. Like it gives it this feel, like when you see the Guardians of the Globe, it looks like a DC animated movie, and you're like, oh, these guys are the Justice League. I'm sure nothing bad will happen to them. Something bad, very bad happens to them.
like the Wonder Woman analog.
War Woman, I think is what her name is.
Yeah, War Maiden or something. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. R.I.P. But anyways, yes, Invincible. I loved these comics, and I'm stoked to watch this whole series. And Seth Rogen is also developing a live action movie.
Oh.
And I'm waiting for that too.
I'm glad that people like Seth Rogen have the creative pull to get things like this made.
Yeah, Seth Rogen is a big comic book nerd, and he developed the Preacher TV show, and I think he's doing the next Ninja Turtle movie, and like man. He's using his power and his geekdom to make the things he wants to see.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't need money at this point. He's just doing things he wants to do, and that's cool.
Yeah, I like people like that. Oh, speaking of people like that, John Hamm is in this as just a side, as like the security guard character that has like a running subplot. And I just fucking love John Hamm. Like, I love his weird career that he has where he's like, oh yeah, I'll do a voice in a cartoon. I'll show up in a British indie movie for 3 lines. John Hamm, I don't know, he just does whatever he wants, and I really admire him.
Yeah, I'm a fan of his. I mean, most people know him from Mad Men, but yeah. He's a really good actor.
And I think Mad Men just made so much money that he can just do whatever he wants for the rest of his life.
Yeah, he got that sweet TV money where he's just gonna get a check forever.
Yeah, because it's on syndication somewhere, probably, right? Sure. I don't know. Is that how TV works?
I don't know. I would assume there's streaming syndication, which is basically the same. Yeah, he gets clicks.
He gets clicks. Yeah, he gets streams. He's like, whatever. They add up the nickels and it turns into millions of dollars.
Yeah, he's good to go.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's what I'm into right now. Do you want to wrap it up? Give him the call to action?
Yeah, sounds good. So we ask that you subscribe to us on your favorite podcatcher and rate us generously. A 5-star review costs you nothing, but means everything to us.
You can find us on all social media platforms across the metaverse as Deep Dive the Meta. We are on Twitter, which is Dave's preferred. We're on Instagram, which is my favorite, but we're also on Pinterest, which no one likes.
Well, I guess this is really goodbye.
Don't say goodbye. Say good journey.